Chapter 24-21. The Uniqueness of the Universe. After the birth of the great universe, the former universe would definitely head towards destruction. Hearing that, Yi Zichen felt like his head was about to explode. "Sis, can I ask you another question?" Yi Zichen frowned. Of course. The spirit phoenix wanted to take advantage of the current situation, remove the barrier between her and Yi Zichen. What she had to do after that was very hard to deal with. She needed Yi Zichen's trust. Did you come back to destroy the first universe and carry out the third universe's plan? How is that possible? Almost instantly, the spirit phoenix shook her head. There's no rush for the third universe. The second universe has already taken shape, so there's not much time left for the first universe. I don't have that much time to find elemental spirits. What's more, mastering the 5 elemental spirits requires mastery of the great Tao of the 5 elements. If the Milky Way Master was here, then we might be able to study it further, but there's nothing we can do without him. What's more, the fusion of the universes is already underway. It's too late. Actually, Yi Zichen could feel the unwillingness in the spirit phoenix's eyes. Perhaps even now, she still persisted in her thoughts and believed that there was nothing wrong with them. However, time did not allow her to do so. Then why did you come back this time? Revenge. The spirit phoenix squinted her eyes. I'll tell you the truth. I came for revenge. I can also tell you that the idiot in the Tsanyua galaxy is also my target. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. The two of us are the best of partners. She actually came for revenge. Yi Zichen definitely had no way of knowing about the grudges between the big shots. However, the spirit phoenix's words struck a chord in his heart. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. In his heart, he was willing to believe the spirit phoenix. All right. Yi Zichen clenched his teeth and made up his mind. I believe you. I won't let you regret it. The spirit phoenix smiled and held Yi Zichen's hand. She gently held Yi Zichen's hand. I hope you won't let me down. That's what I wanted to tell you as well. Yi Zichen's thoughts were very simple. He only wanted the Milky Way galaxy to be safe. If what the venerable spirit phoenix said was true, then he would never let her down. What are we going to do next? Obtain the title of Planet Lord's recommendation. The venerable spirit phoenix said, I will give you the venerable's recommendation title. After you receive the Star Lord's recommendation title, you can return to Blue River High School and receive another recommendation title. In conclusion, the more recommendation titles we can obtain, the better it will be for you. Understood. Several days later, Star Lord's office. Welcome to Blue River Star. The Master of the Stars smiled at Yi Zichen and nodded. In his heart, he was rather astonished by the venerable spirit phoenix. One had to know, in the universe, citizenship was very difficult to change. I didn't think that the spirit phoenix would actually bring Yi Zichen's identity to Blue River Planet. Can I give you the title now? Of course. Star-Lord Blue River didn't hesitate. He entered the virtual network. He found Yi Zichen, who had signed up for the Genius Tournament. Behind Yi Zichen's name, a dazzling venerable medal was imprinted on the back. Just this one medal. This proved that the participant had been recommended by a sovereign. At that moment, Yi Zichen was definitely noticed by everyone, and they were just waiting for him to participate in the competition. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. Star-Lord Blue River also logged into his account on the Genius Tournament's official website. Recommendation. Confirm. A crisp ding sounded out. Another Star-Lord's medal appeared behind Yi Zichen's name. I'll leave the future of Blue River Star in your hands. The Master of the Stars sighed meaningfully. The Master of the Stars sighed meaningfully. Yi Zichen had a better understanding of the kind of person he entrusted his life to. Genius Tournament. As the geniuses were selected, the ranking of a planet's participants would also greatly affect the status of the planet. The higher the ranking, the more rewards the planet would receive. Don't worry. Yi Zichen smiled towards the Master of the Stars. Then the venerable spirit phoenix also spoke up. You should be happy. There is no one in your planet's younger generation that is more talented than my little brother. That's right. It's just that the Master of the Stars hesitated for a moment, then shook his head without saying anything. I will help him rise to the 9th level of the universe before the official competition. Don't worry about that. Then I'll leave it to you, senior, said the master of the stars. The genius tournament wasn't determined by age, but by strength. Anyone below the universe level could participate. Actually, many of these people had intentionally been stuck at the 9th level of the universe for countless years in order to amaze the world at the genius tournament. If Yizichin went with his current level of the star body realm, he might crush him in the early stages. No matter what, he had the battle record of defeating a warlord-level opponent. But in the later stages, who wouldn't be a genius? He was 2 levels away from a genius. No matter how talented Yizichin was, his chances of winning were minuscule. Just wait and see. Senior, are you guys going to Blue River School now? No need. Venerable Spirit Phoenix smiled and said, We've already informed them. The higher schools tournament. Yizichin donned a blue battle robe. This was Blue River Academy's uniform. He was a student of Blue River Academy. Although he would only be there for a short time in the later stages, that didn't mean he wasn't one. Come, lightning. Yizichin stood on the stage with a sharp gaze. Lightning flashed in his hands. A ray of lightning. They would defeat the school that came to challenge them. Victory! 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 Whenever Yizichin stepped onto the stage, he would never lose. Oh my God! I didn't think that such a big shot would be our schoolmate. This is too great. We're definitely going to get the recommendation title for the higher schools tournament if we follow this big shot. A bunch of people in the school cheered and jumped. To be honest, not long ago, when Yizichin came in front of them and said that he was going to participate as a student, not to mention the students, even the teachers in charge of the school were shocked, until he took out his student registration without any hesitation. Agreed. No one would give up on a genius like this. With him there, it meant that they could sweep through both the individual and the team battles. It could be said that, after having Yizichin, Blue River Academy overcame all obstacles. Sorry, I'm taking this recommendation title. Lightning falls. Yizichin looked at his opponent indifferently. At that moment, he was already fighting in the finals of the higher schools tournament. The opponent in front of him was pretty strong. Level 4 of the nebula system. If he met anyone else, then he might really be crushed. Unfortunately, he met Yizichin. When the lightning fell, it also meant that the higher schools tournament had come to an end. Champion, Blue River Academy. Chapter 24-22. Blue River High School became the champion. That was something that their school didn't even dare to think about. Yeezy, Bear was the first to rush onto the stage. Beiyu, who had already recovered, followed behind him. Why did you come as well? Before coming, Yizichin had gone to the hospital to visit Beiyu and told her to rest well. He didn't expect the girl to sneak over. I came to see Yi become the champion, Beiyu replied with a smile, while her eyes revealed gratitude. When she was in the school preparation area, she had already found out from the students that Yizichin fought against the team leader of the warlord-level selection in order to take revenge for him, and even dealt with the ugly girl in front of everyone. Yizichin had never told her about it. All right, Yizichin rubbed Beiyu's head, while the students and teachers of Blue River High School also ran up. Their faces were brimming with excitement. They would all get the recommendation title if they became champions. They didn't hope to stand out in the selection because they knew very well that it would be very difficult for them to get the title of champion. If it wasn't for Yizichin, they might not even be able to get into the semifinals. Yizichin was able to become the champion by himself. What's more, the people he would meet in the True Genius Tournament would definitely be capable people. Even with their talent, the strongest amongst them was only at the 3rd level of the star level. It was very likely that it would be the official selection. They would be finished in 1 round. To them, the recommendation title was more like an honor. Ha ha ha, I'm happy that we became champions. I'll treat you. Steel Bear laughed. I won't go. Everyone, who was originally in high spirits. They were all stunned. Yizichin was the main reason why they won. If he didn't go, I didn't mean to spoil the mood, everyone. Look up. Hearing that, everyone looked up. They saw the Spirit Phoenix standing in the sky and looking at them with a smile. Everyone quickly looked down. A Spirit Phoenix. They didn't dare to look straight at her. Haha, Yeezy is someone who is going to become Her Highness. Let's not disturb Yeezy's cultivation, Bear laughed. Bar laughed and said, let's go play. Yeah, My sis is business with me. I'll celebrate with you guys next time. Yi Zichen waved towards everyone, then left the stage. Before he left, he didn't forget to pinch Bei Yu's little face. Don't play too late. Your body hasn't recovered yet. Don't worry, I'll take care of Bei Yu. Bar thumped his chest. All right. He left the arena. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. During this period of time, he didn't hold back at all, alternating between lightning and fire elemental power. Venerable Spirit Phoenix also descended from the void. How do you feel? I don't feel anything. Yi Zichen shrugged. It was rather easy for him to become the champion of this sort of competition. That's right. Venerable Spirit Phoenix nodded in satisfaction. Don't be complacent just because of this little achievement. The higher education competition is actually a very entry-level selection. In the future, you have to pay attention to those who have been recommended by Venerables or Planet Lords. They're the true cream of the crop, especially the Venerable One's recommendation. If nothing goes wrong, half of the top 10,000 people will be recommended by the Venerable One. I understand. Yi Zichen nodded. He looked at the list of contenders on the virtual network. Next to Yi Zichen's name, he'd already added the title of Planet's high school tournament champion. 3 titles were engraved at the back. According to Venerable Spirit Phoenix's plan, he had already completed the initial stage of the plan. What do we do next? Look at you. On the way back, the Venerable Spirit Phoenix said, there are still 5 years until the real battle for hegemony begins. In these 5 years, I need you to reach the universe level 9. Yi Zichen nodded. I can give you a choice here. Follow me and improve your strength bit by bit according to my plan. Venerable Spirit Phoenix said, or you can continue staying in the second universe. I can sense that your strength has increased very quickly there. If I follow you, then don't even think about going back to the Milky Way for the next 5 years. Venerable Spirit Phoenix replied seriously, during these 5 years, I will take you to a place that I believe is most suitable for you. It might also be the dark universe. Anyway, we don't have time to waste. I choose the latter. Yi Zichen made his decision almost instantly. After getting Yi Zichen's answer, the Spirit Phoenix smiled as if she had already expected this answer. Sure, you have to ensure that you reach the Universe 9 stage. The sooner, the better. I'll try my best. Even Yi Zichen wasn't sure if he could increase his strength by 2 major realms in 5 years. The domain of stars and galaxies. Actually, it wasn't too bad. Reaching the universe level meant that he had truly entered the universe. Countless people could not even reach that level in their entire lives. Also, the universe level required a huge amount of universe power. Yi Zichen was very uncertain that he could actually do it. Try my best. That was the most responsible answer he could give. Can't you try your best, little fellow? Venerable Spirit Phoenix squinted her eyes with a smile. You must reach the Universe 9 stage. If you don't have that confidence, then I can only take you away. I do. All right. Venerable Spirit Phoenix shrugged without saying anything else. Seeing how determined you are, it seems like you want to return to the Milky Way galaxy, right? I do have that thought. Yi Zichen did not hide it. Then let's go back. Venerable Spirit Phoenix let out a sigh. Actually, I'm worried as well. Song Yu and company might have already sent people to your place, or they might go to the Milky Way galaxy in the future. If I'm there, then they might not act too presumptuously. We still have a universe secret region. Suddenly, Yi Zichen recalled the entrance Shea had destroyed before he left. Could that arcane realm be a mystic realm? Supremacy, Spirit Phoenix frowned. The Milky Way galaxy has already obtained the recognition of the laws of the universe. Damn, I told you my plan would work. Why is the master of the galaxy so soft-hearted? He could tell Venerable Spirit Phoenix's resentment towards the Milky Way master ran deep. Yi Zichen pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Venerable Spirit Phoenix also frowned. Don't worry. Since I've been restricted by the laws of the universe, all the more I have to return. We have to hurry. What is it? Yi Zichen could sense a hint of worry in the Spirit Phoenix's eyes. It would have been fine if you hadn't destroyed the entrance, but now that you've destroyed the entrance, it will make people doubt the overall strength of your side. Do you know how those slave masters discovered Slave Planet? It was through this method. After confirming the coordinates of the destruction, we'll capture the planet, the venerable spirit phoenix replied. Then, there's no time to lose. Yi Zichen said, Okay, I also want to see what the Milky Way looks like now. Chapter 24-23. In a vast universe, an interstellar battleship traversed through the universe. What do you think? You must be feeling very complicated about suddenly having to go back. The venerable spirit phoenix smiled. They had already left the Blue River Star and were heading towards the Milky Way galaxy. The efficiency of the interstellar battleship. It was far more efficient than Yi Zichen's small flying ship. According to the AI of the warship, it would take less than half a month to travel from the Blue River Star to the Milky Way galaxy. It's all right, a little bit. As Yi Zichen looked up at the starry sky, he felt somewhat uneasy. He hadn't gone back for more than a year. In truth, a year wasn't a very long time, but Sui Yun had mentioned that the Earth had changed a lot during this time. He didn't know what the Earth he used to live on would look like. More importantly, he didn't know how his old friends in the Milky Way galaxy were doing and how they would be after returning. Relax. Yi Zichen patted Yi Zichen's shoulder. The venerable spirit phoenix squinted her eyes as she looked at the galaxy outside. It was as if her gaze could pierce through the void and see the location of the Milky Way. It seems like the old side of the Milky Way is up ahead. His finger tapped on the control room of the battleship, and a star field map appeared on the battleship screen. It really is. Yi Zichen also saw the mark of the Milky Way on the map. It could be seen that the Milky Way galaxy was extremely vast. The other galaxies were simply incomparable to it. How is it? Are you amazed by the size of the Milky Way? As if sensing Yi Zichen's surprise, the spirit phoenix explained with a smile. The Milky Way used to be the #1 galaxy in the universe. Its size is something even smaller universe countries can't compare to. These planets were obtained by the master of the galaxy. In the beginning, the Milky Way was only 1/10 of the size on the map. It subsequently swallowed countless solar systems and finally formed the scale on the map. The Milky Way galaxy has the qualifications to become a universe country. The master of the galaxy doesn't want it. Yi Zichen was able to roughly understand what the venerable spirit phoenix meant. To put it simply, the Milky Way was like a municipality. Independent management. Sister Ling Feng, according to what you've said, in the first human universe, there aren't just 108 universe countries, right? Yi Zichen asked. That's for sure. Venerable Spirit Phoenix shrugged with a smile. Within the human race, the 1080 universe country was actually just a general concept. Not only did the human race only have 1080 universe countries, the definition of a universe country was simply a small country in the universe. The leader became the king and divided a few galaxies into his country, becoming a universe country. 1080 universe country represented the first universe's largest country. There were also many small countries that only had a few galaxies or a few solar systems in a galaxy. Then, there is the Milky Way galaxy of the Master of the Galaxy. Having the strength to become a universe country, yet not declaring it, and still using the galaxy as its name, there are quite a few of such galaxies. The one closest to you, the Tsanyue system, is like this. In the past, the Tsanyue system and the Milky Way system were known as the two major galaxies of the human race. Now that Tsanyue is in the Tsanyue system, I believe that it should be bigger than the Milky Way system. Venerable Spirit Phoenix explained. As he spoke, he tapped on the screen, and a map of the Tsanyue galaxy appeared. He shrank the map. From the macroscopic map, it could be seen that the Tsanyue galaxy was adjacent to the Milky Way galaxy, but its scale was much larger than the Milky Way galaxy. Let me show you the Tsanyue galaxy of the past. The map changed, and a comparison appeared. In front of 20 million people, the Tsanyue galaxy wasn't even 1/5 of its current size. He did not invade the Milky Way galaxy. Yi Zichen frowned. That's where he's smart. Venerable Spirit Phoenix's eyes were filled with disdain. You should also know that Cold Moon is a subordinate of the Milky Way Master and a good friend. Regardless of whether he was the one who destroyed the Milky Way galaxy, Those of us who know the Milky Way master think that he was the one who did it, but outsiders don't know. When the Milky Way galaxy was destroyed, he issued an obituary lamenting the destruction of the Milky Way galaxy. At the same time, he swore that he would never invade any territory in the Milky Way galaxy and warned others not to touch it. Do you know? When this news was released, everyone said that Tsang was loyal and righteous, covering up his bad behavior of not sending reinforcements when the Milky Way galaxy was destroyed. He's quite smart. Yi Zichen also felt like she was truly scheming after hearing Spirit Phoenix's words. Or, rather, the inhabitants of the universe were really stupid. In hindsight, they would still think that Tsang was loyal and righteous. But then something interesting happened. Spirit Phoenix smiled. Tsang said that he wouldn't touch the Milky Way galaxy's territory, but he secretly went to mine the Milky Way's resources. Someone saw what he did and posted it on the internet. Do you know what he did? What did he do? Yi Zichen asked. He sued them, saying that they were slandering him. In the end, they were accused of stealing resources and were thrown into prison for. Spirit Phoenix shrugged with a smile, while her eyes were filled with disdain. Actually, it's all because of the association of Supremes in action. Us sovereigns can find out that the lost resources of the Milky Way all ended up in the Tsang galaxy, so there's no way the association of Supremes wouldn't find out. However, they didn't do anything about it, causing even those who were once close to the Milky Way Masters faction to turn cold towards them. The Milky Way's resources were all mined out in less than 30 years. Something like that actually happened? Yi Zichen exclaimed. My sources of information are very wide. Do you think that you became the commander of Prison 9 for nothing? Those who go to my place are all capable people, so they naturally know a lot of information. Spirit Phoenix replied. Big Sister Spirit Phoenix, just what kind of place is Prison 9? I've looked it up on the internet, but there are very few records about it. Of course there are few. Spirit Phoenix twitched her mouth. Prison 9 is commonly known as the wrongful conviction prison. Those who go there are all king-ranked and above, but without any exceptions, they were all wronged. It's like a planet, but it's also like a cage. Many people go crazy after being locked in there for too long. I've seen too many normal people go crazy after a few decades, a few hundred years, or even several tens of thousands of years. If they want to break out, then as long as they break out, they will be guilty even if they aren't guilty. Simply put, Prison 9 is the darkest place for humans. I am the guardian of that darkness. Chapter 24:24. You're interested in the 9th prison? Venerable Spirit Phoenix sat on her seat and patted the seat beside her. Then she walked over and sat down. Only then did Yi Zichen speak up. I'm not really interested. I'm just a bit curious. Then I'll tell you about it. The Spirit Phoenix let out a long sigh, then looked up at the top of the warship. I'll let you understand the darkness of the first universe. I just mentioned that. Those who go to the 9th prison are all wronged people. Yi Zichen nodded. The Spirit Phoenix did mention it. He was very confused. King-ranked were already the peak of the human race, so why would they still be wronged? They had resources. Even if they were wronged, they should be able to clear their names. Before I left, the 9th prison held 11 overlords, 37 sovereigns, 409 lords, and more than 60,000 titled kings. F***CK. Yi Zichen was stunned. There were very few forces in the entire human race that could possess such power. Nearly 50 sovereigns and lords. That was equivalent to 1% of the entire human race. More importantly, the overlords would be locked up as well. Putting aside the conferred kings and conferred emperors, just look at the overlords and venerables. Given their strength, how could they possibly be caught if they wanted to escape? The Spirit Phoenix smiled. Yeah. Yi Zichen nodded. Overlords and sovereigns all had a certain level of mastery over space. Even if they couldn't fight, they could run. To capture a single overlord, over 100 overlords would be needed. Capturing and killing were different, so the difficulty was naturally higher. There were plenty of overlords in the entire human race, but it was still difficult to send over 100 overlords to capture someone. What's more, the overlords had friends as well. Since they were wronged, then their friends were trustworthy. They would naturally help out. In that case, the difficulty would be even higher. There was only one possibility if they wanted to be captured. They were captured willingly. Yi Zichen frowned, then voiced out his thoughts. Smart. The spirit phoenix revealed a satisfied smile when she heard Yi Zichen's guess. They did it willingly. What? Yi Zichen didn't understand. They clearly knew that they were wronged. So why were they captured willingly and sent to the 9th prison? Lightning? The possibility of that happening was quite small. Then why do you think I should go to the 9th prison to be the commander-in-chief? Venerable Spirit Phoenix retorted, I'm not bragging. If I didn't want to go, no matter how many people came, they wouldn't be able to catch me. Because of my attainments in space, even the Space Elemental Spirit King might be slightly inferior to me. Why did I go willingly? Is that White Phoenix? Yi Zichen asked. Before long, Yi Zichen understood. They're the ones holding onto the reason that you can't refuse. You have to go there willingly. Yes, you're right. Venerable Spirit Phoenix shouted. In that instant, the Venerable Spirit Phoenix was like an erupting volcano, her hands tightly gripping the chair. They used my sister to threaten me. If I don't go, she will die. You should be able to feel that she is a very innocent and pure person. She doesn't even know that she's in danger, and she's still siding with those people, mainly threatening me to go to the 9th prison. Not just me, everyone who goes there is. You can choose not to go, but if you don't go, then the people important to you will die. You're still young, so you might not understand, but for people like us who have been famous for tens of millions of years or even hundreds of millions of years, how important is a family member or friend? Just how important is a family member or friend to us? We don't have a choice, we have to go. Venerable Spirit Phoenix's chest heaved up and down, while the anger in her eyes could be described as hatred. Perhaps only they, who had personally experienced that sort of situation, could understand just how infuriating it was. Of course, I'm a bit different from those people. I'm not a prisoner. I'm a manager. They knew very well that if I went to serve my sentence, no one would be able to suppress me, so they made me be the manager. Venerable Spirit Phoenix's eyes were filled with mockery. I personally watched as more and more people came to the 9th prison. I watched as they came, I watched as they broke out, then I personally suppressed them. I watched as they begged in front of me, but I couldn't let them go. Because if I let them go, then someone would deal with my sister. Those people who came to the 9th prison were told by the higher-ups to wait for the investigation to end, but several tens of thousands of years. There was no end. Actually, they should have understood that the moment they stepped into the 9th prison, they had no chance of leaving. But they believed in the human higher-ups. They believed that the manager would prove their innocence, but they didn't know. That was just a pipe dream. Let me put it this way. Do you know why those people wanted to break out, commit suicide, and go crazy? It's not because they couldn't endure loneliness, but because there were people there, and they had social connections. The reason why they broke out was because they wanted revenge. Revenge? Yi Zichen frowned. Because the people important to them died, Venerable Spirit Phoenix replied silently. Supremacy Spirit Phoenix replied silently. Furthermore, someone deliberately leaked the news to them and made them go crazy, allowing them to break out of prison. Then I would deal with it. If I didn't deal with it properly, then I would die and my sister would die as well. Why was the commander of the 9th prison? There were over 30 overlord sovereigns who wanted to collectively break out, but I killed them all. Do you know what they said before they died? They hate me, but under that hatred, they asked me to go out and take revenge for them. I remembered all of their hatred. I shouldered all of it. Now that I'm out for them and for myself. I've had enough. I don't want to stay in that place of torture anymore. If I stay any longer, I'll go crazy. The only thing Yi Zichen felt from Venerable Spirit Phoenix's words was shock. He was unable to imagine what the 9th prison was like. Even he could feel that the people of the 9th prison were pitiful people. If it wasn't for their kindness, they wouldn't have just sat there and waited for their deaths. They wouldn't have been caught. As for those who stood in the dark, they used their kindness to force them into a corner, slowly torturing them to death. I've already made my decision. Venerable Spirit Phoenix let out a long sigh. Venerable Lingfeng heaved a long sigh in silence. I'm going to overthrow everything in this universe. It's time for this universe that's rotten to the core to change dynasties. Chapter 24-25. Raging flames burned in the venerable spirit phoenix's eyes. The heat seemed to want to incinerate the entire first human universe. Big sister, don't be afraid. We never involve others in our business. Don't worry. I definitely won't bring trouble to you. Are you sure? Yi Zichen felt like his head was about to split open. She made it sound nice. But now, the two of them were tied to the same boat. Last time, she'd made a solemn vow in front of the camera. She clearly pulled Yi Zichen onto the same side. I'm not sure. Venerable Spirit Phoenix smiled. Can I get off? I can't anymore. She hooked her arm around Yi Zichen's neck. You can only follow me now. Be reasonable. Yi Zichen never would he have imagined that the Venerable Spirit Phoenix would be carrying such a heavy burden this time. From her words, it was clear that she wanted to become enemies with the entire universe. He knew that there was no such thing as a free lunch in the world. Why did the Venerable One suddenly want to come into contact with him? He let out a long sigh. Yi Zichen returned to his cabin. At this moment, a red dot suddenly appeared on the screen. Big sister, what does this red dot mean? Yi Zichen shouted towards the Spirit Phoenix. Red dot? Venerable Spirit Phoenix walked over with a frown. With a few taps of his fingers, a universe projection appeared on the screen. There's a spaceship, Venerable Spirit Phoenix said as she looked at the situation outside. The red dot just now was a radar detection. The direction of the red dot should be the presence of other spaceships. Spaceship? Yi Zichen frowned. They were about to enter the Milky Way. After the destruction of the war, the Milky Way had become a forbidden area for humans. Almost no one would come here again. Even if they wanted to go to other galaxies, they would deliberately avoid this place. Suddenly, a flying ship appeared. They're not coming for the Milky Way, are they? Yi Zichen frowned. It's not impossible. Sovereign Spirit Phoenix nodded. She felt Yi Zichen's anxiety, so she comforted him. Don't be too anxious. That Milky Way galaxy of yours hasn't been discovered after so long. It means that it's hidden in a dark spot in space and can only be reached through a space jump. It's very difficult to find a dark spot in the universe. Besides, they can't say that they're here for the Milky Way. Maybe they're just passing by. I hope so, Yi Zichen said. He was very nervous. He was worried that the Milky Way galaxy had already been discovered. Can we take a closer look? Yi Zichen frowned. Sure. Venerable Spirit Phoenix nodded. What the hell are you guys doing? In an A-class spaceship, the man who wore an eye patch last night and had a blood-red pupil in his right, I was filled with anger. We had to go back. Behind the blindfolded man, another woman walked out. The woman's skin was blue in color, and her eyes were emerald green. She had the height of a normal human. Why go back? The blindfolded man frowned. We don't have enough fuel. The woman pointed at the energy reserve in the cockpit. Sicker, we've been out for a year now. We haven't replenished our supplies. We must go to the nearest life star to buy energy. Otherwise, we will be trapped here until we die. F***CK. Jessica swung her fist hard. She held her head with her hands and stared at the complicated data on the screen in the cockpit with bloodshot eyes. Why did it turn out like this? This is the location of our test. What the hell? It's actually the former site of the Milky Way? Did I test wrongly? You're in too much of a hurry, the woman sighed. We should have done careful calculations before coming. Right now, we haven't found a life star system, and it's already too late to enter the secret realm. Jessica, we have to admit that our decision was wrong this time. F***CK, F***CK, F***CK. Jessica swung her fist with all her might, causing ear-piercing explosions to be heard in the spaceship. Captain, we've run out of energy. A crew member ran over. At that moment, the woman also spoke up. Jessica, we have to make a decision. Go. Just as Jessica was about to make a decision, she suddenly saw the screen. She ran over and zoomed in on the screen. Battleship level. Jessica stared at the screen, then shouted towards the people around her. Prepare for a spatial jump. Enter the dark universe. Captain, our energy source," the crew member reminded. Hearing that, Jessica scolded angrily. "I'm the captain, you're the captain. I told you to jump, so jump." "Understood." The crew members in the cockpit all began to get busy. "It seems like we thought too much," Venerable Spirit Phoenix shrugged. In the battleship, Supremacy Spirit Phoenix gently shrugged. "They jumped into the dark universe. They must be in a hurry to get here." "Is that so?" Yi Zichen said. "Although many of my warship's components have not been upgraded in a long time, it is still a warship. My detectors and anti-detectors are still of very high level. They won't be able to detect our position at our current distance," Venerable Spirit Phoenix said with certainty. "That's good." Yi Zichen let out a deep sigh after receiving Venerable Spirit Phoenix's reply. That truly caused him to break out in a cold sweat. If they discover the Milky Way, then Yi Zichen really wouldn't know what to do. With Venerable Spirit Phoenix's abilities, she can naturally kill those people. The problem is if Asterisk King discover them, then the news might leak out, causing even more people to come. It's not like Venerable Spirit Phoenix can protect the Milky Way at all times. Destination coordinates have been reached. Would you like to jump? The optical computer in the warship asked. Venerable Spirit Phoenix looked towards Yi Zichen. Jump! Yi Zichen nodded. The warship also responded. About to jump. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The warship suddenly shuddered, commencing cosmic vision mode. All of a sudden, a dazzling galaxy appeared in front of Yi Zichen. When he saw the colorful world, Yi Zichen couldn't help but let out a long sigh. A smile appeared on his face. Milky Way, I'm back. Less than half a minute after they jumped, Sicker's spaceship reappeared from the dark universe. They did not teleport after entering the dark universe. Ha ha ha, do you see it? Do you see it? Sicker's eyes were filled with laughter. There was still a black hole that did not return to normal after jumping in front of them. Spatial dark spot. No wonder we couldn't find it. So there's a spatial dark spot. Record down these coordinates. We'll enter in 3 hours. Chapter 24-26. Yes, everyone on the spaceship was filled with excitement. Not long ago, they were about to return in defeat, but now they were all cheering excitedly. See, Nada, I said that we should change our spacecraft's detectors to the latest model. Is this decision wrong? That battleship didn't expect us to see them. Sicker's eyes were filled with pride, as if he was proud of his wise decision. But are you sure you want to go in? Are we going to fight the people on the warship for that place? They were all very clear that anyone who could own a battleship would have a very high status in this universe. One had to know that the price of a battleship was tens of thousands of times that of their A-class battleships. There was also the wear and tear of the battleship, as well as its maintenance, which required an astonishing amount of expenditure. Not even titled battle pet warriors could afford it. Why should we fight with them? Sika grinned. Manada, you always think so simply. Can't we go in and take a look, determine the value of the planets inside, and make a record to sell to others? This. Nada was stunned. She really hadn't thought of this. Now, we should pray that this galaxy is like what we thought before we came, a newly born, ownerless galaxy. Only then will we be able to sell them properly and not be labeled as interstellar swindlers. The satisfied Sicker even picked up a glass of wine from the table. As long as there is no owner, we will have the right to sell information. At that time, whoever buys the society will be the unlucky one, and it will have nothing to do with us. Don't you think so? It's so beautiful. In the battleship, the Spirit Phoenix Supremacy sat in the cockpit, looking out at the vast Milky Way galaxy. No matter what, she had never changed. The Milky Way was the most beautiful galaxy among the countless galaxies. You should be glad that you live in this galaxy. Venerable Spirit Phoenix sighed. You have no idea how ugly the other galaxies are. A single color can't compare to the splendor here. Yeah. Yi Zichen's eyes flashed with a smile. Even though he had only been in the universe for a short time, he knew that those galaxies were not as beautiful as the Milky Way. Compared to other galaxies, the Milky Way was a painting that no one could bear to desecrate. But there are very few humans in your Milky Way galaxy. Venerable Spirit Phoenix squinted her eyes. There are quite a lot of life stars here, but no life has been born. It's really strange. If you think it's strange, then I don't know. There were more than 30,000 solar systems in the Milky Way galaxy. Even if each solar system had one life star, there were more than 30,000 life stars. But, according to the information Yizichin had, there were less than 300 planets in the Milky Way galaxy that were inhabited by humans or humanoid races. Your Milky Way galaxy is a treasure trove. Venerable Spirit Phoenix sighed. How so? Yizichin was confused. With so many planets, there's no need to mention the resources stored inside. I believe you guys definitely haven't mined them yet. No. Also, this place has abundant life stars. Most of them are large life stars. 70% of them are suitable for human habitation. 20% of them are suitable for human habitation. Although the last 10% is harsh, it's still habitable. Do you know that the human race's population is already saturated? Many planets don't even have a place for humans to live, but you still have so many empty planets here. Sovereign Spirit Phoenix sighed. Yizichin frowned. Will we become the human race's targets? For the current you, yes. Sovereign Spirit Phoenix nodded. Venerable Spirit Phoenix nodded lightly. However, if you are strong enough, you will have the qualifications to have them live here and work for you. This will be a very considerable income. All right, I don't really care about that. Yizichin wasn't really interested in earning money. The only thing he wanted to do was to keep the Milky Way galaxy safe. As for anything else, he didn't have the mood to care about it. Oh yeah, where will the warships stop? Just as Venerable Spirit Phoenix spoke, several star rank experts suddenly appeared not far in front of them. Who are you? This is private property. Please leave as soon as possible. You have experts like that here? Sovereign Spirit Phoenix frowned. They seem to be slaves I bought before. Yizichin looked outside. Then, the warship slowly stopped, and Yizichin walked out of the cockpit. I am Yizichin. Who are you? Master. After hesitating for a while, the star-level masters all flew over. It really is him. Yizichin confirmed it when he heard what they called him. To be honest, he didn't know these slaves at all. He didn't even meet them twice after buying them before he sent them over. It's been hard guarding here. How are the others? We've already notified them. Someone should be coming soon, including your friends. At that very moment, several tens of figures flew over from afar. They were led by a star system level expert, followed by many star level and domain level experts. Domain level. Yizichin was stunned when he sensed the auras from afar. There are no domain level experts among the slaves. Does that mean that someone in the Milky Way galaxy has already broken through to the domain level? Who could it be? When Su Yun came last time, he said that the great sage and Yang Jian were about to break through. Yizichin looked forward silently and clenched his fists with trembling eyes. Then, when the crowd got closer, easy. The two domain-level experts seemed to have gone mad as they formed a long line behind them. Monkey Yang Jian. Yeezy, it really is you. It really is you. Ha 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 ha. The great sage hugged Yizichin, while Yang Jian did the same. We just received news that an outsider entered the Milky Way galaxy. We were wondering who it was. I didn't think that you'd actually come back. Yang Jian's eyes were filled with excitement as he looked towards the warship in the distance. Where did you get this big guy from? It wasn't the same thing the last time I came back. That's a long story. Yizichin smiled. Ha! It seems like Yizi is doing well outside. The great sage grinned. The great sage was grinning from ear to ear. We were just thinking about going to look for you after a while. Why did you suddenly come back? We'll talk about that later. Yizichin also beamed. You two broke through? We broke through. Quite a few of us broke through. Ever since the power of the universe entered, many of us have been growing crazily, Yang Jian replied. Yeah, come, let's go to the God Realm. Let's welcome Yizi back. Chapter 24-27. If it's a welcome you back. Never mind. Yizichin hesitated for a moment, then declined. What is it? The great sage didn't understand. You've been gone for so long, and you just came back. That's too troublesome. It's best not to let too many people know that I'm back. Everyone at the great sage's level already knew about the existence of the Milky Way. They were all working hard to increase their strength. If Yi Zichen's return affected their cultivation, then it would be a huge loss. From Yi Zichen's perspective, it didn't matter if they welcomed him back or not. The most important thing was to strengthen their overall strength. What's so troublesome about that? The great sage frowned. It's just us, Colleen Shang and the others, and Su Yin and Kiki. We'll see. Yi Zichen patted the great sage's shoulder with a smile, then looked at the surrounding people. Go back. I want to go to Earth as well. You really have to go. Yang Jian smiled. Yang Jian smiled. Earth has changed a lot while you were away. You might be shocked if you go. Give up. The great sage twitched his mouth. Yi Zi, what haven't you seen before? What would you be scared of? I'm just exaggerating. Yang Jian scolded. Do I need you to exaggerate? You're looking for trouble, right? With that, a spear appeared in Yang Jian's hand. The great sage didn't back down. He held the Rui Jingu Bang in his hand. Perfect. I haven't properly taken care of you after breaking through to the domain level. I'll give you a good lesson today. The great sage roared. Come, Yang Jian shouted. Yi Zichen watched in shock as Yang Jian and the great sage fought. Seriously, no matter what, the two of them haven't changed at all. A familiar feeling welled up in Yi Zichen's heart. As he watched the great sage and Yang Jian fight, Yi Zichen felt an inexplicable warmth in his heart. They're really back. We don't need to care about them. Honored Spirit Phoenix tilted her head. It wasn't just her. Practically everyone who met Yang Jian and the great sage for the first time would ask the same question. No need. Yi Zichen grinned. They've always been like this. Yi Zichen smiled, then tilted his head and looked at them for a long while. With his current strength at the 9th level of the Starbody realm, it was impossible for him to escape. When facing a domain-level battle, he should be able to see it clearly. It was the same during the competition for the top schools. When the students were exchanging blows, any of their movements, even the follow-up movements, the flaws in their defenses, the rhythm and flaws in their attacks, were all clearly grasped by him. But when he looked at the great sage and Yang Jian, he felt like he couldn't see through them. Big sister, what do you think of these two? Yi Zichen couldn't see clearly, so he asked. Them? Only after hearing Yi Zichen's question did Spirit Phoenix set her gaze upon them. About 30 seconds later, a smile appeared in her eyes. Your two friends are quite interesting. There's really no order to their fight. To put it nicely, they're doing whatever they want. Especially the one with the stick. I feel like he's never laying the groundwork for the rest of the fight. It's just to deal with the current situation. The one with 3 eyes with a pointy stick. At the start, he fought rather clearly, but the one with the stick also started to do whatever he wants. That sounds awful. Yi Zichen asked. It's a mess, Spirit Phoenix shrugged. It's truly too messy. The two of them are more suited for solo fights. If they cooperate with others, it will greatly affect their performance. So it's like that. Yi Zichen had a rough idea after hearing Spirit Phoenix's words. Since that's the case, then I'll make them pay more attention to solo fights. I'll bring out their unique traits. Their weapons are rather interesting. If I'm not wrong, both of their weapons have been upgraded, right? Spirit Phoenix squinted her eyes. I'm not talking about material upgrades, it's the weapons upgrading themselves. Yes. Yi Zichen's heart tensed up. The venerable Spirit Phoenix was actually able to see through it. Do they know how to upgrade? No. Then you can have them try to absorb souls in the future, Spirit Phoenix said. Absorbing souls can upgrade their weapons. To put it bluntly, it's just killing people. Actually, you can also try to change their weapons. Right now, their weapons' unique traits have yet to appear. I'm afraid that their minds will be affected when their weapons truly awaken. Especially the one with the stick. He's too violent, so he has been suppressing them from the start. However, he definitely won't be able to suppress this sort of suppression after their weapons awaken. All right, I got it. Yi Zichen committed Spirit Phoenix's words to heart, then looked meaningfully at the great sage and Yang Jian. Weapon awakening. Growth-type weapons, after all. Since Spirit Phoenix said that they're rather interesting, their weapons must be rather special. Erlang Lance. Rui Jingu Bang. The origins of these two weapons have always been very mysterious. Are there such weapons in the universe? Yi Zichen asked. Of course, Spirit Phoenix shrugged. Venerable Spirit Phoenix shrugged. Growth-type weapons and equipment are things that anyone above the venerable level will have. These types of weapons are all of the primordial divine artifact level in the end. However, that doesn't mean that these types of weapons are good. The most important thing is to suit yourself. Look, as she spoke, a dagger appeared in Spirit Phoenix's hand. I forged this dagger for my little sister. I nourished it with my essence blood for 2,000 years. Unfortunately, my little sister doesn't like this sort of bloody and murderous weapon. In the end, I stopped nourishing it and gave her a new dagger. Star Shatterer? Yeah, it seems like you're really good with my little sister. You even know the name of the weapon. Spirit Phoenix smiled. Venerable Spirit Phoenix laughed. I obtained that dagger after destroying more than 10 galaxies. Don't tell her. She still doesn't know about it. Destroyed 10-odd galaxies. Venerable Spirit Phoenix was truly a deity. She said it so casually, but from her words, Yi Zichen could tell that she truly treated her little sister very well. In order to give her little sister a dagger, she nourished it with her own essence blood for 1,000 years. Her little sister didn't like it, so she destroyed 10-odd galaxies to get a dagger for her little sister. You're really good to your little sister. Yi Zichen said sincerely. What a pity. Never mind, let's not talk about it. Spirit Phoenix let out a long sigh. Venerable Spirit Phoenix let out a long sigh. What are you going to do now? And where do you want to land my battleship? You have to find a bigger life star. It'll be best if you have a power supply. My battleship consumes a lot of power. Come with me. I'll find a place for you to land. Chapter 24-28. Captain, it's been 3 hours. Are we going to jump? The crew members were all excited, waiting to jump from the dark spot. Jump! Sicker ordered. In an instant, everyone in the cabin started to move. Sicker's eyes were filled with anticipation. A dozen or so seconds later, everyone in the ship's hold was dumbfounded. They were all impressed by the beautiful scene before them. This is the most beautiful galaxy I've ever seen. Oh my God, this galaxy is too big. Don't just stand there. Let's go check if this galaxy has a defense system and if it's owned or ownerless. Jessica slapped the head of the crewman in the cabin. They didn't dare to enter recklessly because they couldn't pinpoint the location of the warship. It could be said that what Sicker was doing now was snatching food from the tiger's mouth. If they were careless, they might lose their lives here. But if they really died, he could accept it. Dying in this beautiful galaxy was much better than dying in the withered and yellow galaxies outside. Captain, no defense system found. Captain, no warning from a detection signal. Presumed ownerless galaxy. Captain, the galaxy map has been deduced. Hearing that, Sicker walked up and looked at the full picture of the galaxy they had deduced from the probe. A galaxy map that looked like a whirlpool. There were several spiral arms around it. Specific data. The moment he said that, the data appeared on the galaxy map. So big, even Sicker couldn't help but show fear. How long has it been born? More than 10 billion years. The crew member answered. How could it be so long? Sicker frowned. If it was really born that long, it would have been found by others. The data is correct. Yes. The crew member answered. I've calculated tens of thousands of times, and the conclusion is more than 10 billion years. Could be left behind by some almighty? Sicker muttered in his heart. The age of the Milky Way made him lose his previous confidence. In the universe, there were many galaxies that were born a long time ago, but were never discovered by others. That was because some almighty left it in the habitat of their race. Most of these galaxies were hidden in the dark spots. Sicker, are we in trouble? Not a bit, her lips, fear flashing in her eyes. I'm not sure yet. Sicker frowned and shook his head. In fact, he was already afraid. The battleship that just arrived might be the great senior hiding in this galaxy. Send me all the data. Yes, 376. 8 billion stars, 1725. 6 billion life stars for 1,768 life stars with signs of human activity. Sicker read the data. His data was far more accurate than Yi Zichen's. How can it be so few? The number of stars and planets was ridiculously large. and there were trillions of life stars. A planet with human activities. Less than 5,000? In other words, the other planets were empty, with no humans living on them? Most importantly, when he looked at the detailed map of this galaxy, he felt that it was somewhat familiar. Why does this galaxy feel like the Milky Way? One of the crew members in the cabin suddenly spoke. Sika heard it and pushed the crew member aside. His fingers were frantically tapping the keys on the table. Not long after, a detailed map of the Milky Way appeared on the screen. Comparison. Heavens! Seeing the result, the crew members could not help but scream in fear. The detailed map of the galaxy in front of them almost overlapped with the previous Milky Way galaxy. The only difference was that the horizontal and vertical lines were slightly shorter. The nebula was slightly thicker. Everything else was almost exactly the same. Sika, let's retreat now. Natasha grabbed Sika's arm and shouted. Retreat? Why retreat? Sika's eyes flashed with madness. This is a galaxy left behind by the Milky Way Master. It must be. The people here might very well be the orphans of the Milky Way galaxy. Are we going to sell information about the Milky Way galaxy? Natasha yelled. Why not? Sika's eyes were filled with madness. Natasha, we don't care whether this is the Milky Way galaxy or not, and we don't care whether this was left behind by the Milky Way Master. Remember, we are a bounty hunter group. This galaxy is worth selling. As long as we scan the complete information, even if we only scan 1/10 of it, the Alliance will definitely recognize our value. This galaxy, do you know how much money we can sell it for? Hundreds of billions. Chaos coins. Even if we sell the information and address, we can still earn at least 10 million chaos coins. Chaos coins. One chaos coin is 100 million universe coins. Why wouldn't we sell it? The entire crew members were enraged by Sika's words. Chaos coins. Even if each of them received a few 100,000, they would be able to enjoy endless glory and wealth in this lifetime. Sika, you're crazy. Are you going against the Milky Way Master? It wasn't easy for the Milky Way Master to hide his galaxy. You want to expose it? Why not? Sika's eyes were red. He's a traitor to humanity. He's not. Natasha shouted. It doesn't matter anymore. Sika grabbed Natasha's chin. Natasha, don't care about the Milky Way Master. What does his life or death have to do with us? We've done a lot of bad things as Venus pirates. So what if there's one more? But this time, it's the Milky Way Master. Natasha argued. The Milky Way Master is the hero of the human universe. We can't do this. I object. All right, if you say so. Sika suddenly became cold and let go of Natasha's arm. Let's vote. Those who agree with Natasha, raise your hand. Natasha looked expectantly at the people in the cabin, but to her disappointment, no one raised their hand. Those who are executing the plan, raise your hand. In an instant, everyone raised their hands. You're all crazy, all of you. Cahill, have you forgotten who saved you when your galaxy was attacked by aliens? Mogan, who stopped the war in your galaxy. You, everyone here, who hasn't received the Milky Way Master's grace. You actually want to betray her? Natasha's voice started to sound like she was about to cry. Everyone lowered their heads in silence. They had no choice. Tens of millions of chaos. They couldn't stay calm. See that, Natasha? This is the will of the people. Sika grinned. Tie Natasha up. Don't let her escape. We can't let anyone spoil our plan. Sika, you can't do this. Shut up, bitch. Sika threw a slap at him. In front of money, no one can stop me, including you. Chapter 24-29. Earth. The blue planet was brimming with life, even from afar. Yi Zichen stopped the warship, then directly arrived there with the Spirit Phoenix Sovereign. When Yi Zichen returned, although Suiyun had already mentioned Earth's situation, he was still a bit shocked when he saw it with his own eyes. Is this really Earth? Who are you asking? I came with you. The Spirit Phoenix Sovereign twitched her mouth and looked down. The honored Spirit Phoenix pouted her lips and looked down. The people here are really weak. Yi Zichen landed on the ground. The current Earth was no longer the metropolis it was before. Although technology still existed, it was no longer the main way of life here. An endless stream of pedestrians shuttled through the streets. What made Ezekiel feel rather comforted was that the people who survived were all very optimistic after the drastic change, and loud laughter could be heard everywhere. That was indeed the case. China's casualties and losses were the smallest when the entire world went through an upheaval, compared to the countries that were destroyed. Right now, they were already lucky enough. What's more, no matter what happened to the world, they had to continue living. Did you guys know? I heard that the goddess of life will come here to cast battle recovery. The injured people in the city will instantly recover. I heard that the medical staff here are a bit nervous, so the goddess of life came. Goddess of life? Suyin? The mention of a name that was practically imprinted in Yi Zichen's heart caused his fingers to tremble. Bro! Yi Zichen smiled, then walked over. Everyone at the table was stunned. When they saw the venerable spirit phoenix, all of them subconsciously froze for a moment. Very quickly, they felt a chill down their spines. They quickly looked away. What a cold woman. Everyone at the table muttered to themselves, then looked towards Yi Zichen. What is it? The goddess of life you guys mentioned just now. Is it Suyin? Yi Zichen asked. Sure. The man at the table suddenly covered Yi Zichen's mouth. Suyin's name isn't something we can randomly say. She is a supreme god. Sorry. Yi Zichen didn't think that Suyin had such a high status in people's hearts. Then has she come? Of course not, the man shook his head. How could that lord come here? The person who came is that lord's student. So it's like that. Yi Zichen was somewhat disappointed. He had thought that he would be able to bump into Suyin, but it turned out to be her student. That's right. Suyin had already accepted a student. The world had really changed a lot. It was hard to believe that all of this had happened in a year. The life goddess is here. Someone suddenly shouted. Everyone in the shop ran out, including the owner. Yi Zichen glanced at it, then smiled. He also wanted to see what kind of person Suyan's student was. In the middle of the square, surrounded by the crowd, a girl who looked to be about 17 or 18 years old stood on a flying beast. If he was not mistaken, this should be an owl. What surprised him was that this owl was more than 10 times larger than the previous owls. Greetings, life goddess. Everyone prostrated themselves on the ground, leaving only Yi Zichen and the spirit phoenix standing in the plaza. How dare you? Kneel before the life goddess. The guard beside the girl scolded angrily. Hearing that, Yi Zichen frowned. Done. At this moment, the young lady spoke. They don't need to kneel to me in the first place. I'm just an ordinary person like them. Goddess, you're that lord's student, so it's natural for them to kneel and worship you. If they don't kneel, they will be disrespectful to you and that lord. The guard spoke. My teacher is very easygoing. She doesn't need anyone to kneel to her. The girl coldly looked at the guard in front of her. If you deliberately cause trouble again, please leave my team and go to the front line to fight against the berserk beasts. The guard's expression changed drastically. The frontline defense against the berserk beasts could be said to be the most dangerous. The mortality rate was extremely high. In order to become a servant of the goddess, he had gone through a lot of trouble. Let him go to the front. He would rather die than be willing. Goddess, this subordinate knows his mistake. Yi Zichen nodded silently in his heart as he looked at the girl. It seemed like Suyan's students were pretty good. At the very least, they weren't arrogant and domineering just because they were her students. It was her guards. This is the sign of decay. Venerable Spirit Phoenix stared at the guard and whispered. Yeah. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh in his heart. There was nothing he could do. This sort of thing would happen no matter when it was. Can the wounded walk up and gather together? My grasp of life force is not as good as my teacher's, so I hope you guys can cooperate and try to finish this in one go. The wounded began to move forward. Yi Zichen hesitated for a moment, then also walked forward. Stop. The domineering guard stopped Yi Zichen. What's the matter? You truly are very cocky. Although our goddess is merciful and doesn't want to argue with you. But remember, you have to kneel when you meet the goddess. All of a sudden, the guard kicked Yi Zichen's calf. He, who was clearly a high-level fighter, felt like he kicked a steel plate when he kicked Yi Zichen's calf. A crisp crack sounded out. The guard's calf was already fractured. All of a sudden, The guard couldn't help but shout out in pain. The goddess, who was treating someone, looked over and saw the guard grabbing onto Yi Zichen's arm tightly. I sincerely apologize to you. Why did you have to be so heavy-handed towards me? The guilty party sues first. Hearing that, the goddess's expression drastically changed. She walked over and looked at the guard's injuries. How did this happen? Lady Goddess, your teachings just now were very enlightening to me. So, I just wanted to apologize to him. Who would have thought that he would suddenly make a move on me and cut off my leg? Mister, the goddess frowned. My guard did speak rudely just now, but you didn't have to be so heavy-handed towards him, right? We are all humans of Huaxia. If you truly have the power, then please go to the front lines and fight. If you can liberate a city, then all of humanity will be grateful to you. You're rather interesting. Yi Zichen looked at the girl in front of him. You believed him just because he said that I injured him? Why don't you think about whether he wanted to injure me? About this. The girl was momentarily stunned. The guard shouted, What a joke. I am the goddess's guard and a high-level fighter. If I truly wanted to attack you, do you think you could still live? Are you sure? Suddenly, Yi Zichen tilted his head and looked towards him. For some reason, the guard subconsciously gulped when he saw the look in Yi Zichen's eyes. What do you mean? Are you threatening me? You said such crazy things after ambushing me. You know that I won't attack you, so you are fearless. Why did you say so much? Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. I'm just asking you if you're certain about what you said just now. Chapter 24:30. Cold sweat began to drip down the face of the guard who was sitting on the ground, clutching his leg. Sovereign Spirit Phoenix watched silently from the side. If she didn't sense wrongly, at that moment, several auras were rushing towards them from the distance of the planet. Roar! The ferocious beasts outside the city roared and fled. A golden dragon suddenly appeared in the air above everyone before transforming into an adorable young woman in the blink of an eye. Zichen Gij. It was Xia Kiki. She immediately leapt into Yi Zichen's arms after returning to her human form. After that, a few more figures attacked. Inshang, Go Yuzhan, Li Jiai, Lu Jing, and finally, Su Yan. Emperor's Star, Inshang, and Go Yuzhan rushed over. Yi Zichen hugged them tightly with a smile. Lu Jing twitched her mouth. Some people are just too arrogant. They didn't even tell us that they were coming back and made us come all the way here to find them. You talk too much. Yi Zichen knocked Lu Jing's head. Yi Zichen walked in front of Su Yan. You're back. I'm back. Everyone else was shocked. The people in front of them were all gods. It was their appearance that allowed the people of Huaxia to survive the ferocious beast attacks. They actually all came. Teacher. The girl bit her lips and ran over. Su Yan also smiled when she saw her. You're here as well. I'm here to revive the people here. The girl pursed her lips and nodded. You've worked hard. Su Yan caressed the girl's hair. Soon after, everyone saw the guard whose leg was broken and whose eyes were filled with terror. His heart was already filled with despair when he saw Xia Kiki. When he saw the others, Sire, the guard crawled over. Everyone looked at him strangely, while Xia Kiki's gaze turned hostile. Are you sure now? Yi Zichen smiled. I wanted to hurt Sire. The guard stuttered. Xia Kiki glared at him. You wanted to hurt Zichen Gij. Everyone else did the same. Yi Zichen patted her head. Don't get so angry. Divine Lady, right? Help him recover and send him to the front lines. A high-level fighter. We can't waste this resource. Yi Zichen smiled. Yes. The goddess nodded. Yi Zichen looked at everyone in front of him. Let's go back. I won't disturb you anymore. Venerable Spirit Phoenix smiled. I'm quite interested in your planet, so I'll stay here and take a look. Come and find me when you're done. All right. God race. Yi family. Yi Rong's eyes were filled with joy when she heard that Yi Zichen had returned. She took a few glances at Yi Zichen and said a few words of concern before running to the kitchen to prepare food. Su Yan, Xia Kiki, Li Jiai, and Lu Jing all helped out. As for Yi Zichen and company, they all sat outside. Emperor Star, why did you suddenly come back? Are you going to leave now that you've returned? In Shang said, I will, even though Yi Zichen had decided to stay in the second universe. However, There was no virtual network here. He had to go to the nearest planet with a virtual network to live on. You still want to leave? Lu Qing yelled as she ran out with some vegetables in her hands. Why are you leaving? As soon as she shouted, almost everyone ran out. This time, I won't go too far away from the Milky Way. I'll just live on a neighboring planet. Actually, it's no different from staying here. Yi Zichen explained with a smile. Why don't you live here? Lu Jing frowned. There's no virtual network here. Then, Yi Zichen told them about the second universe. Everyone opened their eyes wide when they heard that. Wow, there's a second universe. Xia Kiki shouted. Universe fusion? Why does it sound so scary? Li Jiai also asked. It is rather scary. Yi Zichen smiled, then didn't dwell on the topic for too long. Are Yume and Lu urgent out here? They're all in closed-door cultivation, Lu Jing shrugged. A few of them are rather crazy. For example, Yume and the two daughters of the Shui family. They can't wait to transcend and find you outside the universe. What? You don't want to find me? Yi Zichen smiled. I want you. TSK, dream on. Everyone in the room roared with laughter. Others might not know, but they all knew just how hard Lu Jing cultivated. She wasn't any weaker than the others she just mentioned. Late into the night, while Yi Zichen and the others were enjoying themselves, the god race's monarchs also came to visit. Most of them asked about matters outside the universe. Yi Zichen told them everything he knew. After that, the monarchs became even more aware of their urgent need to grow stronger. Now that you mention it, they've all started to cultivate. Su Yan walked behind Yi Zichen, took out a jacket, and draped it over him. God races Yi Zichen, don't catch a cold. I'm about to leave the galaxy. Do you think I'll catch a cold? Yi Zichen grabbed Su Yan's hand with a smile. Do you want to ask about Ian? Su Yan nodded. We met. It's just that he decided not to stay with me and wants to go out. Don't worry. I gave him enough money and slaves before he left. He should be safe. Is that so? From Su Yan's tone, Yi Zichen could sense that she was somewhat preoccupied. Su Yan, do you have something you want to say? Actually, I wanted to say. Su Yan pursed her lips. Do you think we should have a child? Instantly, Yi Zichen froze. When he looked back at Su Yan, he saw that her face was bright red. Mother keeps saying, you don't need to say any more. Yi Zichen pulled her into his arms. You're right, I was careless. We really should have a child. In the blink of an eye. Yi Zichen had been living in the god race for half a month. He didn't know if the girls had discussed this beforehand, or if they sensed something was wrong with Su Yan, but practically every day, someone came looking for Yi Zichen. Why are you finally willing to come looking for me? Somewhere on Earth, the venerable spirit phoenix smiled at Yi Zichen. I thought you were immersed in a land of romance and couldn't come out. Do you think I'm that sort of person? Yi Zichen smiled at the venerable spirit phoenix, then said, Let's go now. If you want, I'll be there anytime. The venerable spirit phoenix shrugged. At that very moment, an A-grade spaceship also landed in the Bounty Hunter Center. Jessica followed his crew. Her eyes were filled with excitement as she entered the Bounty Hunter Center. Chapter 2431. Sir, this is the spaceship you ordered. It can hold more than 3,000 people. An elder stood in front of Yi Zichen, who was about as tall as Yi Zichen's shoulder. This was the life planet Yi Zichen had teleported to with Venerable Spirit Phoenix. According to Venerable Spirit Phoenix, using a spaceship in a low-level starfield like this was too conspicuous, so they had to avoid being noticed by other humans. Yi Zichen supported this idea. For the next 3 years, he would be completely immersed in the second universe. It would be best for him not to be disturbed. There was also Venerable Spirit Phoenix. She had a purpose for leaving the 9th prison this time, and this purpose might be targeted by others. Having a spaceship would be too obvious and easy to detect. Buying a small spaceship as a means of transportation. That was reasonable. Thank you. Yi Zichen thanked the old man when he finally found a satisfactory spaceship after a lot of work. The spaceship he wanted wasn't actually easy to find. The main thing was to satisfy both capacity and speed. Venerable Spirit Phoenix had suggested this, but Yi Zichen found it rather harsh. It is my honor to be able to serve the esteemed Universe Gold Card. The elder replied with a smile. Yi Zichen paid for the spaceship. Yi Zichen and Venerable Spirit Phoenix boarded the spaceship. What else do you need to prepare? She bowed to him the moment they boarded. I need to buy some resources and slaves. You should know how much longer you need. Although the time you have seems long, if you want to reach the 9th level of the universe, time is of the essence. Venerable Spirit Phoenix reminded him. For now, Yi Zichen's strength had only just reached the 9th level of the Starbody realm. To put it bluntly, he was just a nobody in the universe. The 9th level of the universe. There were 2 major realms and 18 minor levels between it and the 9th level of the Starbody realm. 3 years and 36 months. He needed to increase his strength by 1 level in 2 months. Even with her plans, 3 years was a bit of stretch, let alone in the second universe. She didn't know much about the second universe. Therefore, he wasn't particularly confident and would urge him almost every day. Haha, there's no need to go anywhere else. Yi Zichen smiled when he sensed Venerable Spirit Phoenix's urging. I have already gotten Bei Li to purchase the resources online. They will be sent to this planet in a few days. I also know some slave traders who will send them here when the time comes. That will be best. Venerable Spirit Phoenix nodded. I'm going to enter the second universe now and withdraw some money. Otherwise, it'll be troublesome if the slaves don't receive enough money. Did you buy a lot? Yes, a lot. 3 days later, at the planet's dock. According to the agreement, Yi Zichen arrived very early to wait for the slave handover. A few minutes after his arrival, a pitch-black A-class spaceship appeared above the docking area. He had already informed the surrounding staff in advance. After seeing the arrival of the spaceship, the staff looked from afar. After that, there would be a slave handover ceremony here. At the planet's docking area, the slave handover was taking place. In fact, this was a very common thing for any planet. Some smaller planets might buy slaves less often, but it was definitely not zero. It will make the staff curious. The main reason was because Yi Zichen was very generous. The tips he gave out were equivalent to several hundred years of their wages. This made them very curious about the slaves this gentleman would buy. What kind of slaves do you think that gentleman will buy? It has to be at least the cosmic system level. Cosmic system level. The surrounding staff all exclaimed in surprise. Their planet was a low-level planet. Although there were several billion inhabitants on the planet, there were very few experts. Half of the inhabitants were below the domain level. There were less than 100,000 star bodies. There were only 10-odd cosmic system levels. The strongest was only at the second level of the cosmic system. Even a 9th-level star body, like Yi Zichen, was a peak existence here. If Yi Zichen wanted to enjoy himself, then this would be a pretty good place to do so. Buying cosmic system level slaves. The staff did not even dare to think about it. All of them revealed shock in their eyes. Look, they came down. The staff exclaimed in the distance. As they spoke, several black-clothed experts walked down from the spaceship. Oh my God, universe level. Look at the symbol on that guard's chest. General level. Oh my God. All of the staff felt rather suffocated. At the same time, the universe level expert that had shocked them all walked up to Yi Zichen. Mr. Yi, hello. He was rather surprised that the person who had returned wasn't the same person as before. Perhaps he sensed Yi Zichen's confusion. The newcomer smiled. The person who came earlier was one of my most outstanding subordinates. He was going to come anyway, but he had some small business that he needed to personally deal with. For a large order like Mr. Yez, I'll personally deliver it. Thank you. Yi Zichen nodded with a smile. He did not feel any honor for the slave owner to come personally. May I ask where Mr. Yi is from? Sir, we're here to hand over the slaves. Let's not talk about this. Yi Zichen avoided the topic indifferently. Ha ha ha. Mr. Yi is right. The slave owner explained with a smile. Please don't overthink things, Mr. Yi. I only get orders like yours a few times a year, so I couldn't help but ask a few more questions. What a cold person, the slave owner muttered in his heart. Slave traders like him were very cruel to their slaves, but when it came to their customers, they would treat them like gods. Especially when it came to a big customer like Yi Zichen. There were a lot of slave traders in the universe, and a lot of them couldn't sell their slaves. Since Yi Zichen bought such a large number of slaves from him, Even if Yi Zichen spoke rudely, he wouldn't be angry at all. Then, Mr. Yi, may I ask how these slaves are to be handed over? The slave owner asked with a smile. There were a lot of slaves to be handed over this time, so it was very normal for him to ask. Put them all down. My spaceship has enough space to carry them. Yi Zichen said. Hearing that, the slave owner nodded. Yi Zichen was shocked. A spaceship that can carry so many slaves must be very large, right? One had to know that this time he had driven 6 spaceships to transport all the slaves. He waved towards his subordinates. Let them all out. Chapter 2432. Several spaceships. All the doors opened. Thousands of human and beastman slaves walked out of the spaceships, practically filling up all the empty spaces in the docks. The staff at the parking lot were all stunned. They had expected that the slaves Yi Zichen had bought would definitely be extraordinary. They had expected that the slaves he had bought would be of the star system level, but they never would have imagined that he had bought so many slaves. Mr. Yi, according to your orders, 3,009th level star bodies, 201st level star bodies, 15 second level star bodies, 3 third level star bodies, and 1 fourth level star bodies. Attacked 3,219 slaves. The slaves all stood obediently. Some were cold, some were feminine, some were muscular, and some were alluring. There were both males and females among the slaves. The star bodies stood at the back, while the star system bodies stood slightly in front. Mr. Yi, these slaves should be enough to take over our life planet, right? That's too scary. All the staff members were terrified. They found it hard to believe that so many experts had suddenly appeared in a small place like theirs. How much does it cost to buy slaves like this? No wonder he's so generous. He should be the heir of some large family. Not to mention the staff members of these small planets. Even the slave masters who dealt with slaves every day felt a ripple in their hearts when they saw this. It was really rare to see a customer like this. Phew! Yi Zichen let out a long sigh. Everyone here was on the same level as him, or perhaps even higher than him. It would be hard to believe just by looking at their appearances. They were all slaves. Mr. Yi, this is their controller. Please keep it well. With that, the slave master took out a small remote control and placed it in Yi Zichen's hands. With this, these slaves will obey you unconditionally. Okay. Yi Zichen was rather curious when he saw the remote control. The last time he bought slaves, he gave them chips to control them. I didn't expect it to be like this. It's probably because I had bought too many this time. It would be too troublesome to control them one by one. Only slave masters would use such a small remote control. So they're all mine now. Mr. Yi, you still need to authorize them. The slave master walked up with a smile and taught Yi Zichen how to operate them. Not long after, the eyes of the slaves in front of him became empty. After about half a minute, the slaves regained their color. Master, this way, these slaves will truly belong to you. The slave master rubbed his hands together with a smile. Seeing that, Yi Zichen also knew that he wanted to pay the final payment. The money has been transferred. You can check it. The virtual network transfer was done in an instant. The slave master was stunned. Soon, a joyful smile appeared on his face. Mr. Yi, it's a pleasure working with you. Happy cooperation. If you have any needs in the future, contact us directly in the virtual network. The quality of my slaves is definitely the best in the Beneo star system and the surrounding few star systems. The slave master patted his chest and swore. Sure, no problem. Then if there's nothing else. The slave master looked at Yi Zichen with a questioning gaze. Let me ask you something else. Go ahead. The slave master said enthusiastically. Do you sell planets here? Planet. The slave master was stunned, but he quickly revealed a look of joy. Mr. Yi, you're interested in buying a slave planet. Of course, we also sell slave planets. You can sell it as a whole or in half. You can also join us and manage it together. I can buy half, said Yi Zichen. Yes, you can buy half. We'll modify the planet. There won't be any problems. The slave master smiled. Of course, if Misty simply wants to buy a planet, I suggest you go to the Bounty Alliance. They have a lot of information on planets for sale. Not long ago, a star system was discovered by space pirates. News of it has spread like wildfire. How wildfire? 30 million primal chaos. The slave master stretched out 3 fingers, and the flesh on his face trembled along with it. Primal chaos? Just as Yizichin frowned, he received a transmission from the Spirit Phoenix Supremacy. A unit of measurement. 100 million universe dollars is 1 primal chaos. Damn! Yizichin was instantly stunned. The slave master saw Yizichin's expression, but there was no hint of disdain. 30 million primal chaos was a huge number. Even kings and kings might not be able to afford such a sum of money. What star system is so expensive? I'm not sure. The slave master shook his head. At my level, I don't have the right to participate. I just heard a few friends say that the star system isn't small and that it has a lot of life planets. I don't know anything else. All right, 30 million primal chaos star systems. There was no way Yizichin could buy one. The slave master mentioned information, not a star system. If he wanted to buy one, who knew how many billions of primal chaos would be needed? Mr. Yi, do you want to buy a slave planet? Haha, I'm just asking. Don't think too much about it. Yizichin grinned. You guys have Shell Planet too, right? That's right. How much do you need to buy it? Shell Planet was Beiyu's hometown. All the people he'd met had left him with a good impression. If possible, he wanted to buy the planet. Mr. Yi, the slave master was in a bit of a dilemma. The Shell Star was definitely a cash cow. It wasn't just the Banao star system. People from other star systems were in high demand of Shell Planet slaves. They weren't powerful martial artists, but they were definitely the best pets. Is it difficult? Of course we're selling Shell Planet, the slave master frowned. It's just that the price might be a bit high. Say it. 20,000 primal chaos. F*CK. The slave master smiled wryly when he heard Yizichin's curses. The price is a bit high, but Mr. Yi, Shell Planet is rather special. Since you want to buy it, I'm sure you understand. Of course, if Mr. Yi just likes it, then I'll send someone to give you a few. Then never mind. 20,000 primal chaos. That's 2 trillion universe dollars. A tiny shell planet. It's just a planet, not an entire star system. Is there anything else, Mr. Yi? If not, then I'll leave. You can leave. It was too difficult to buy the shell star. Beiyu, it's not that I don't want to help you, but your planet is too expensive. I really can't afford it. Chapter 2433. 20,000 Primordial Chaos. He really didn't know how Beiyu was going to free her planet in the future. At the very least, Yizichin wasn't qualified to help her right now. The stairs to the cabin opened. Venerable Spirit Phoenix walked up from the second basement level of the ship. What do you think? Kid, don't treat me like I'm working for you. The moment they arrived, the Spirit Phoenix Supremacy frowned and said, You want me to do everything? Do you really think the Supremacy is your servant? Sis, who are we? Yizichin blinked at the Spirit Phoenix, who let out a sigh when she saw Yizichin's expression. His aptitude is not bad. That's right, slaves are still slaves. If the microchips in their brains aren't removed, they'll never be able to comprehend the universe laws and reach the universe level. I know, not to mention being a slave. Even if one wasn't a slave, becoming a universe level was still very difficult. He did not expect the slaves to break through the universe. As long as these slaves had good aptitude, it will be fine. I will also do as you said and label them. When the time comes, you can arrange work for them according to the classification. Thank you for your hard work, sister. Just now, Yizichin asked Venerable Spirit Phoenix to go down. One was to see the aptitude of these slaves, and the other was to see what kind of work they were suitable for. When it came to judging people, as the commander of the 9th prison, the Spirit Phoenix's insight was much greater than Yizichin's. Among these slaves, some of them would guard the entrance to the Milky Way, while others would stay on Earth, the Protoss, and the immortal realm to ensure the safety of these 3 planets. There was still another part. He would assume the responsibility of preaching the Tao and dispelling doubts. Increase the strength of the human race in the Milky Way as much as possible. Several days later, he returned to the God Clan. In less than half a month, Yizichin had purchased several billion worth of resources. Linru, Yes. Tell your grandfather that these resources will be distributed by him after he finishes his seclusion. Yi Zichen looked at the girl in front of him. Lin Ru, the master of the laws, master of the law of time. In truth, after living in the universe for so long, Yi Zichen had never heard of the masters of the laws. If it was someone like Lin Ru, she was more like an elemental spirit. All right, I'll keep that in mind. Lin Ru nodded solemnly. At this moment, she had already shed her immaturity and had become an existence that could take charge of things on her own. The land of the law was once destroyed by Yale. According to Su Yin and the others, the land of law has already recovered. This was not good news either. The master of the laws possessed the ability to suppress the laws of heaven and earth within the Milky Way. If an outsider tried to invade, the master of the law's control would be enough to restrict them. And these slaves, Yi Zichen placed the remote control in Lin Ru's hands. Each of them holds a position that belongs to them. When the time comes, you'll be in charge of arranging it. And even though they are slaves, but no one in the Milky Way galaxy can treat them as slaves. The surrounding slaves were all moved by his words. Among these slaves, there was no lack of people who had been sold 10 times or more than 10 times. No matter who they were never treated as equals as they were treated others. Yi Zichen's words caused their hearts to tremble. Master, I'm really sorry. I really want to remove your slave imprints, but I've only known you guys for a short period of time. I don't know what kind of people you are, but my own strength is too weak. Just wait and work hard for my planet. You might even regain your freedom in the future. We'll do our best to locate you, Master. The countless slaves shouted. Yi Zichen patted Lin Ru on the shoulder. I'll leave it to you. You're leaving just like that? Asked Lin Ru. You're not going to see Su Yin and the others? I'm not going. Yi Zichen didn't know how much determination it took to leave them last time. If he saw them again, if he saw their tears, he really might not be able to bear to leave. Right now, he had no choice but to leave. They still had many days ahead of them. If they wanted to stay together forever, they'd have to wait until they were truly safe. Tell them, trust me, very soon, I'll be with them forever. Yi Zichen waved his hand and boarded the spaceship. The spaceship slowly left the surface of the God Realm. As he watched the planet grow further and further away, Yi Zichen couldn't help but sigh. Bailey, did you find the planet? Found it. Bailey pulled up a data window. Planet Black Lake. It's a 3-day journey from the dark spot in the Milky Way. It'll take 13 days to get to Earth. That's the closest. Yi Zichen frowned. 13 days. Almost half a month's journey seemed a bit too long for Yi Zichen. That's the closest. Bailey looked at the data window in front of him. The dark spot in the Milky Way is in the former Milky Way galaxy. After the Milky Way galaxy was destroyed, no star system dared to expand its territory. Since the surrounding stars weren't cleared, it's hard for new planets to be born. There's one more important thing. The Milky Way galaxy you're in is too big. It'll take 10-odd days to get to Earth from the dark spot. Actually, the planet I found for you is very close. It's just that Earth is too remote. The master of the Milky Way didn't leave behind any other dark spots? Asked Yi Zichen. How could you possibly know that? Bailey shrugged. If you don't know, then I definitely don't. Even if there are, they should be around the edges. Our dark spot is already rather close to Earth. If we go from the other side of the dark spot to Earth, it'll take 64 days. Does that mean it'll take 78 days to cross the Milky Way? The spirit phoenix suddenly spoke up. This galaxy isn't small. It didn't feel that big when I pinched it before. All right, then let's go to planet Black Lake. Yi Zichen let out a deep sigh. He had no other choice. It would be great if the Milky Way galaxy had a virtual network. But if it did, then it would definitely be noticed by other planets. The gates of the Milky Way galaxy would also be open to humans. Any race would be able to enter. All right, don't think too much about it. The spirit phoenix walked up. It's not like you can't return to Earth in this lifetime. You can still go back in the future. You might get a little surprised the next time you return. Surprise? Yi Zichen frowned. What surprise? How is it a surprise if I tell you? The spirit phoenix patted Yi Zichen's shoulder. Strive to reach the 9th level of the universe as soon as possible. That way, you might be able to live with them for a while before the genius competition and see the surprise that belongs to you sooner. Chapter 2434. It was a surprise for Venerable Spirit Phoenix. Yi Zichen didn't really care about it, but he was very eager to reach the universe level 9 and return to Earth. Bailey, remind me when we reach planet Black Lake. Yes. Sis, I'm entering the virtual network. Good luck. Yi Zichen hurried into the second universe. The first thing he did was to send a message to his friends group and block everyone's messages. In the next 3 years, he would focus on increasing his strength. Bailey would take care of the supplies for the elemental fairies. He could use the gold card freely. The elemental fairies only needed to log off to receive the crystals. He could get the staff to place them at the door. Yi Zichen looked at the ferocious beast in front of him and the dungeon scroll in his bag. Let's begin. Titan Universe Nation. Amongst the many human universe nations, the Titan universe was the pinnacle of humanity's universe nation. The universe nation had Iron Titan, Silver Titan, Gold Titan, etc. There were no humans living in the universe nation. The only people living there were Titans. The Titan race. Their bodies were equivalent to the human universe level from birth. An adult Titan could destroy a planet. In the first universe, there was a huge change. The Titan clan was one of the few clans that supported the humankind as soon as the humankind started a war. At the time, there were less than 30 million Titans. It was their smart decision that allowed their race to expand by no less than 1,000 times. They occupied an entire human universe nation. They were also one of the core fighting races of the human race. The current Titan race had a high status. Even though they weren't humans, no one dared to look down on them. All of this was due to the 13 overlords in their universe nation. They were also known as the 13 Guardians. These 13 Guardians usually stayed in their respective galaxies and wouldn't leave unless there was something special. Even if the upper echelons of the human race had a meeting. At most, they would go to the 3 Guardians, which was already giving the upper echelons of the human race enough face. It was also because the Guardians always stayed in the race that the other races didn't dare to show any hostility towards them. Not long ago, the 13 Guardians actually left their race at the same time, leaving the universe nation empty. This was something that had never happened before in the Titan universe nation. In the void of the universe, 13 giant apes that were several hundred meters tall looked down at the insignificant man in front of them who wasn't even as tall as their feet. Seniors, you're not going to keep talking to me like this, are you? The man surrounded by the 13 guardian deities smiled bitterly. The Titans looked at each other and nodded lightly. Then, they transformed into their human forms. Even so, they were still more than 2 meters tall. Speak. Our Titan star can't go without a leader for too long. If someone were to attack our universe country at this time, losing any of our clansmen isn't something we can handle. The golden-haired Titan frowned. He was also the leader of the 13 guardian deities, and he was one of the strongest among the overlords. The opponents that the Venerable Spirit Phoenix had said were unbeatable. He was one of them. Senior Jean Tan. A smile lingered on the man's face. The Titan race is the pinnacle race of the human race. I believe that there is no one in the human race who is blind enough to attack your race. Moreover, there are more than 10 billion races on your Titan star now. What are you trying to say? My master wants me to ask you, why have you been conserving your energy and demanding resources from the human leaders? What are you trying to do? Are you truly trying to raise the strength of your race and bring peace to the human race? Or are you waiting for the right time to overthrow the human government? Bullshit. Jean Tan's eyebrows furrowed. The anger in his voice caused the man's expression to change drastically. He almost spat out blood. Our Titan race. We chose to stand on the side of the human race during their most difficult times. Now that the human race is prospering, our Titan race has also benefited from it. How could we betray the human race? The resources we demanded were promised to us by the human race. What's wrong with us taking them? The man tried his best to calm his blood flow. Don't be fooled by how he called Jean Tan Sr. Actually, The man before him wasn't a mediocre person. He was a knight-level fighter. A few words from Jean Tan was enough to cause his blood flow to churn violently. This was enough to prove that the leader of the 13 guardian deities was as strong as an absolute being. Senior, don't be angry. My master naturally believes in your loyalty to the human race. However, the human race might not think the same. What do you mean, just say it? Jean Tan frowned. My master has just returned from the upper echelon meeting of the human race. The contents of the meeting mentioned your Titan race. The man spoke. What did he say? Jean Tan said, the Titan race, their strength is already tens to hundreds of times that of the human race. This is publicly acknowledged by the entire universe. They believe you are one of the pinnacle races. In the past, your Titan race was small, so the human race was willing to give you resources. However now, the Titan race numbers in the billions. The man squinted his eyes, his face filled with a smile. What kind of concept is a billion Titan race? It's equivalent to trillions of humans, and they have to be star level and above. That's because the Titan race is born at star level 9. Senior, tell me, why isn't the human race afraid? With your strength, you can instantly take over 10 human universe countries. I'm not exaggerating at all. I believe you all know this too, right? The 13 guardian deities were silent. With regard to the Titan race's overall strength, as leaders, they were naturally clear. Not to mention 10. If they really wanted to, the entire northwest region of the human universe countries was something they had the confidence to take over in an instant. That was a total of 100 universe countries. It was just that they had never had such thoughts. Just like Jean Tan had said, they had chosen to form an alliance when the human race was in danger. Naturally, they wouldn't abandon them when the human race was at its peak. Their race had status within the human race, enjoying resources. Why would they do such a risky thing? What does your master mean? He wants you to find us, to tell us that in the future he will give us less resources. We can accept that. Jean Tan didn't hesitate to speak. We also know that the human race is currently lacking in resources. We are willing to lessen the burden on the human race. Once the virtual world group's leader, when Lee's plan of integration is executed, we can then discuss the resources. Thank you, Senior Jean Tan, for your kindness. The man bowed deeply to Jean Tan. For the human race to have an ally like the Titan race, it's the human race's fortune. Us too, Jean Tan said. However, suddenly, the man's tone changed. You don't understand what I mean. What the human race needs isn't just to lessen their expenditure. The human race wants the Titan race to disappear from the human universe. Chapter 2435. Disappear. The annihilation of the entire race. The hearts of the 13 guardians fluctuated. However, as overlords, even if they were not humans and were not good at hiding their emotions like humans, they could still try their best to look indifferent. You said that the humans want us to disappear. Are you saying that the humans are ready to attack the Titan race? Jean Tan looked down at the man in front of him and suddenly smiled. That's right. The man was not afraid at all. He looked at Jean Tan quietly, watching him go from being serious to expressionless, and then laughing out loud. While Jean Tan was laughing, the meteorites in the distance were shattered into dust by his laughter. This laughter lasted for half a minute. The man felt like his ears were going deaf. He kept using the power of the universe to resist, but it was to no avail. You're an interesting human. Even if the higher-ups of the human race want to annihilate the Titan race, as a human, you should stand on the side of the humans. Yet, you came to me, saying ridiculous things to make me laugh. According to what you said, shouldn't the Titan race start a war against the humans? No one was a fool. Jean Tan was able to become one of the best among the overlords, not because of his physique and brute force, but because he also had intelligence. If he was a simple war tool without intelligence, he would believe whatever others said. If he had believed whatever others said, his race would not have been able to reach its current state. To instigate him, over the course of countless years, how many times had he encountered this? There was once a foreign race overlord who personally came to persuade him and promised him the position of pope. He did not waver and crushed that foreign race overlord's head with his hand. I now have doubts about your identity as a human. Jean Tin narrowed his eyes and looked at the man below. The moment he narrowed his eyes, this proved that he had already developed killing intent in his heart. With the 13 guardians here, this person could not escape at all. If you want to kill me, then kill me. The man's expression was still the same as he lightly shrugged. In front of the 13 guardians, it's impossible to escape. I know this very well. I sincerely came to tell you information. If you want to kill me, I can only say that my master was wrong about you. You still have the right to explain, Jean Tan said. Why should I explain myself? The man tilted his head. I've been telling the truth the whole time, but you think I'm trying to sow discord between you and the humans. The moment you doubted me, the seeds of doubt were planted in your hearts. No matter how I explain, it will be futile. What an eloquent fellow, Jean Tan snorted angrily. I'm just stating the facts. A long silence lingered between the 13 Vajras and this man. They looked at each other, and no one said anything. Since you're a human, I'll pretend that you've never been here. Jean Tin glanced at his brothers as soon as he finished his sentence. Return to the clan. After they left, the man's eyes were filled with a cold smile as he opened the battleship's hatch. None of the 13 Vajras noticed. In the battleship not far from them, there was actually someone staring at them. Master, it's over? How do you feel? A middle-aged man with double pupils sat on the sofa of the warship. The man wore a silver robe. His long blue hair covered his left eye. Seeing that the man had returned, he specially brewed a glass of wine and handed it to him. Fortunately, I didn't disappoint you. The puppet man cupped his hands at the blue-haired middle-aged man and drained the wine in one gulp. Not bad. What do you think of the 13 Vajras? Their strength is definitely top-notch. The puppet man placed the wine glass on the table. It's a pity that their intelligence isn't enough. They're also quite smart, the blue-haired middle-aged man said. They just think they're smart. The puppet man laughed. My negotiation with them this time has already planted the seeds of doubt in their hearts. They will definitely break off their relationship with the humans. When that time comes, they will either form their own faction or become your subordinates. Either way, it's a good thing for you, isn't it? That's right. The blue-haired middle-aged man nodded. Then think about it, which one I prefer. The latter. The puppet man thought for a moment before speaking. The Titan race's combat power was indeed top-notch. If he could have them, it would be much easier to carry out his plans in the future. With these blockheads in front of him to expand his territory, there is nothing more comfortable than this. No, I prefer the former. The blue-haired middle-aged man laughed. I hope that they form their own faction. That way, when I unify the human race, I won't feel guilty when I annihilate them. Otherwise, if they follow me and I destroy their entire clan, I will feel heartache. That's true. The puppet man laughed. From his reaction, it seemed that to him, if the blue-haired man wanted to destroy the Titan race, it would be a piece of cake. There was nothing to be surprised about. Or rather, the entire human race seemed to be in their hands, just waiting for them to take it. All right, you've worked hard during this period. Go and rest. After patting the puppet man's shoulder, the blue-haired man sat on the sofa again and looked at the vast universe outside. Master, what's wrong? Nothing. I just want to say, the next time I meet those blockheads, can we do it in the virtual network? That guy Jean Tan is really too noisy. My ears haven't recovered yet. The puppet man covered his ears. Ha! The blue-haired middle-aged man laughed loudly. Let me think about it. Understand that no matter what, the virtual network is still managed by Wen Li. There's a high chance that we're all being monitored. If he catches any clues, it'll be hard. So what, we'll just fight. The puppet man said. Master should have noticed, the virtual world company has ill intentions towards us. They've bought all the universe countries around our universe country and sent in troops to prepare for war. Of course I know. The blue-haired middle-aged man nodded lightly. However, I don't want to become enemies with that crazy bitch yet. At least we can't really fight. You don't understand her. She's someone who can really do anything and dares to do it. If she really starts a war, it's impossible for us to stop even if we want to. Our plan isn't complete yet. Just bear with it. All right. The puppet man nodded. No rush, very soon. The blue-haired man looked at the universe, his eyes filled with infatuation. Very soon, it will all belong to us. Chapter 2436. Titan Universe Country. Jintan Galaxy. The 13 kings sat in the main hall of the palace. Big Brother Jin Tan sat in the middle. The other 12 kings sat on his left and right, returning from the universe. Therefore, they all came here and did not return to their respective star systems to oversee them. The 13 kings gathered. To the Titan clan, this was unimaginable. Many of the clansmen who saw this were discussing outside. The managers of the various races scolded them when they saw this. "You're not going back. What are you doing here?" Looking at the silent Vajras sitting in the palace, Jin Tan spoke with a frown. "Big brother, what do you think we should do?" Amongst the Titans, the one with long silver hair frowned, slapping the table with his palm. He was Jin Tan. He was also Jin Tan's younger brother. Amongst the 13 kings, his strength could be considered top 5. "What do you mean?" Jin Tan didn't seem to understand what he meant, frowning. "Return to your galaxies and guard them." "Big brother." Jin Tan frowned and slapped the table. "Didn't you hear what that human just said? The humans are about to make a move against us." "You believe him?" Jin Tan said. "No matter if what he said is true or not, we still need to prepare, don't we?" Jin Tan frowned, his expression urgent. "Big brother, we need to move. If that person didn't come, I wouldn't say anything, but now that he's mentioned it during this period of time, the clansmen of my Silverton galaxy have indeed been reacting to my subordinates, saying that when they left the galaxy, the humans were hostile towards them and intentionally bullied them. Yes, my galaxy has it too. Mine too." The entire palace instantly became like a market. The kings all fought to say that the humans were bad, that the humans were bullying their clansmen. Seeing that the humans were allies, they suppressed it all. He suppressed all of this and did not pursue the responsibility of the human race. "All right, all of you shut up," Jin Tan shouted. The kings in the palace followed suit, not daring to make any more noise. "What's with all the noise? Think about your statuses. You are the overlords of the Titan clan. Each one of you is the leader of a galaxy. Look at you now. What's the difference between you and those beasts without intelligence?" The Vajras lowered their heads upon hearing this. After being reprimanded by Jin Tan, they calmed down a little and realized that their actions just now were a little too extreme. They didn't do it on purpose. The human race was too much of a bully, and they felt indignant. "Big brother, don't blame us brothers." Seeing that Titan Gold was enraged, Titan Silver tried to smooth things over. "The human race is too hateful. Back then, when we fought for them, we were always at the forefront. At that time, less than 10% of our people died." "That's right, big brother." The other Vajras followed suit. "We are the heroes of the human race, yet they are bullying our people. How can this be justified?" "I know, right? Let's not talk about the past. Last time, there was a rebellion in the northern region of the human race, and it was our Titan race who went to suppress it. Yeah, our Titan race has worked hard and made great contributions, yet they actually want to deal with us now." The Vajras started to quarrel again. Jintan narrowed his eyes as he watched his brothers bicker in front of him. He didn't stop them. After more than an hour, perhaps everyone's mouths were dry from all the talking, or perhaps they had nothing else to say, so they stopped one after another. "Are you done?" Jin Tan looked at the Vajras below. "My brothers, we are brothers in private, but in public affairs, we are the masters. I am the king of our Titan race, the leader of all the Titans. You guys are quarreling in front of me. Do you have any respect for me, the leader?" The Vajras hesitated for a while, but in the end, they didn't say anything. Jin Tan was right. He was the leader, and he should be the one making the decisions in the race. "You said that the human race is bullying your people. May I ask if this is an exception or a large proportion?" "It's an exception. Out of millions of Titans, there's only one such case, and they come back and tell you. Do you think that the human race is deliberately causing trouble for you? Why don't you think about how polite the human race is to our people? If you're not convinced, find 1,000 people from your race and come to the virtual network. I'll personally ask them about their impression of the human race. What do you think the result is?" Everyone was silent. In fact, they all knew that the Titan race was indeed an exception, but they had magnified it at this moment. Also, you said that we're the founding fathers of the human race. That's right. But don't forget, we're not the only founding fathers. The real main forces are the nine-tailed fox race led by the head of the Virtual World Corporation, Wen Li, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex led by Blue Emperor. In that battle, the price we, the Titan race, had to pay was the least. Also, you have to remember that whether or not we allied with the human race back then didn't matter much. On the contrary, given the number of our people, if we went against the human race, we would have been the first to be exterminated. Everyone was still silent, not knowing what to say. Also, you just mentioned that there was a rebel army. We went to help the human race guard it. When we asked for land from a master of the Milky Way, we promised to guard the North. We did what we were supposed to do. Why did it become the meritorious service you speak of? Think about it, all of you. Actually, what we've done is far less than what the human race has helped us. The human race has already done their utmost. Why do you still have such thoughts about the human race? Even if it's not for the human race. For the sake of the master of the Milky Way, he definitely doesn't want to see the human race fall apart. You've been clamoring about betraying the human race. Do you want to divide the human race's territory and cause chaos among the human race? That man, he's clearly trying to sow discord between us. Why did you fall for his trap? Jean Tan's words left everyone speechless. Chief, I don't agree with what you said. Suddenly, the silver tank stood up and said, "You're deliberately changing the issue now. We're facing the human race's intention to annihilate our race. From the beginning to the end, we brothers have been asking how to deal with it. But you, Silver Tank, what's wrong?" The silver tank was stunned. You know that man, right? Jean Tan looked into the silver tank's eyes. What did he promise you? Can you tell me? To make you willingly stir up trouble here and destroy the friendship between the human race and the Titan race. Is it the position of chief? Chapter 2437. Silver Tank was instantly stunned. If these words were really pursued, his crime would be very serious. Among the Titans, even though the 13 kings represented the peak power of the clan, their existence was also the main personnel for the stability of the clan. Any king was of great significance to the clan, but this didn't mean that they couldn't lack anyone. Whether it was the clan's reputation or strength, Jean Tan was the undisputed leader. His words just now, it was said out of anger, but if it was really pursued, Silver Tank would definitely be spurned by the entire clan and exiled from the clan. Considering Silver Tank's strength, the clan would be stable. Who knows, he might even be secretly dealt with by the clan. Big brother. Silver Tank immediately got up from his chair and knelt on the ground. The other kings around watched silently. Under such circumstances, they couldn't make a sound. They needed to wait for Silver Tank to explain. Only then could they help to say a few good words. Jean Tan looked down expressionlessly. He and Silver Tank were brothers, but at this moment, his expression didn't reveal the slightest bit of affection. Big brother, we grew up together. It's impossible that you don't know what kind of personality I have. How could I possibly do such a thing? The Silver Tank shouted at the top of his lungs, wanting to defend himself. All these years, I've always done my best to assist you. When did I ever think of fighting you for the position of clan leader? Big brother, you must believe me. Clan leader Silver Tank, there was a king in the hall who wanted to speak up for Silver Tank, but Jean Tan's gaze made that king swallow his words. Jean Tan silently looked down at Silver Tank. Big brother, what I'm going to say now is to all of you. Remember, all of you. Jean Tan's gaze swept across the eyes of the other kings. The human race and our Titan race are allies. The reason why our Titan race has our current status is because we're protected by the human race. Remember, no one is to mention the bad things about the human race to me. If anyone dares to, then leave the Titan race. Do you understand? Yes, clan leader. The kings on the seats all nodded. Jean Tan looked at Silver Tank kneeling on the ground and snorted. Go to the ancestral mountain and reflect, brother. Jean widened his eyes. If I go to the ancestral mountain, then who will guard the Intan galaxy? I will send some experts over. If you LV Dong are worried, you can find your own people to guard the place. Do you have any questions? No, no more. The silver tank shook his head silently. With that, Jean Tan waved his hand and left the hall. The others watched the gold tank leave and then looked at the silver tank, who was kneeling on the ground for a long time without getting up. They sighed, shook their heads, and did not move forward. They were all prepared to return to their respective star systems. From this time, everything was clear. Jean Tan's attitude was very clear. He would never betray the human race. Did I go too far just now? As soon as Jean Tan returned to his cave abode, a little monkey appeared on his shoulder and whispered into his ear. He was Jean Tan's optical supercomputer. Shout, Jean. You also think I passed? Jean Tan grabbed the wine on the table and took a sip. Actually, you should know best. A silver tank wouldn't do that. Of course. Jean Tan nodded lightly and did not refute. If that's the case, why did you say such harsh words to him and even let him go to the ancestral mountain? Shout, Jean did not understand. I have absolute trust in my brother. Jean Tan sat on the chair and looked into the distance with a deep gaze. A silver tank won't betray me, but that doesn't mean others won't. I've received news recently that Wood Tank and Fire Tank have been in close contact recently, and the time they left their clans is about the same. You suspect them? No, I don't suspect anyone, but I don't suspect anyone. It seemed that Jean Tan's words were problematic, but he was very clear about what he wanted to express. Those 12 Vidras were his close friends and brothers who had gone through life and death with him for many years. From a sense of camaraderie, he did not want to suspect them, but from a stability of the clans and their ambitions, why would he suspect anyone? Did you notice the look in their eyes when I said that I would never betray the human race? Jean Tan said, a few of them had strange looks in their eyes. Also, when I looked at them, a few of them did not dare to look me in the eye. I noticed that and wanted to tell you about it. Xiao Jean said, these guys all need to be watched closely. Jean Tan squinted his eyes and said, I'll leave this to you. No problem. Even though Xiao Jean was an AI, he had many different abilities. He had the highest authority in the clan. He could monitor any clansman at will without them noticing. Do it well. Are you still worried about what I do? Xiao Jean replied with a smile. Jean Tan also smiled. The two of them had worked together for so many years. The one he trusted the most was Xiao Jean. What about the silver tank kid? Let him go to the ancestral mountain. Jean Tan did not ease up at all. Since I've already said it, I can't take it back. Today, even if it's to intimidate the other Vidras, it's also to give him a warning. Maybe he's being used by others without even realizing it. He can't be bitterly disappointed. If he treats me as his big brother, then he won't be bitterly disappointed. Jean Tan let out a deep breath. He did not want to continue on this topic. He waved his palm around. A warning barrier was set up around him. I'm going into seclusion for this period of time. I'll leave the clan matters to you. Why are you suddenly going into seclusion? Xiao Jean was stunned. At Jean Tan's level of strength, there was actually not much point in going into seclusion. All he needed was an opportunity. If he could break through, then so be it. If not, then he would probably stay like this for the rest of his life. The only thing that could possibly increase his strength it might be the possession of an ancient divine artifact. Even such a divine artifact could only be found by chance. Wanting to obtain, it was harder than ascending to the heavens. Jean Tan had not gone into seclusion for tens of thousands of years. Suddenly saying that he was going into seclusion surprised Xiao Jean. I need to increase my strength as much as possible, even if it's just a little, to prepare for the future. Jean Tan said, in the future? Xiao Jean was stunned. Then, his face revealed a surprised expression. You suspect that the human race will act against you? That's right. Then just now in the hall, Jean Tan was still speaking righteously, saying that the Titan race and the human race would always be allies, and that the Titan race would never betray the human race. Why did he suddenly suspect her again? Betrayal is betrayal. Suspicion is suspicion. I just said, I suspect anyone, including the human race. Chapter 2438. Inside the Vast Universe. An interstellar warship shuttled through the dark universe. Inside the warship, A middle-aged man with long blue hair silently looked at the chaotic scenery outside while swirling the liquor in his glass. The seed of doubt has been planted. I just don't know when it will bear fruit. I hope Jean 10 won't disappoint me too much. The middle-aged man's mouth slightly curled up. At this moment, a virtual projection popped up in front of his eyes. Planet Lord. Standing in the projection was a handsome blonde lady. Seeing the lady appear, the blue-haired middle-aged man raised his glass and laughed heartily. Hey, Lucy. What a surprise. You actually sent me a projected conversation. But I hate it when people do this. If I'm bathing, then you see me naked. The blue-haired middle-aged man smiled faintly. Angry yet not angry. No one could understand his current mood. But at least it doesn't seem to be the case now. The blonde lady was expressionless. Planet Lord, I have something to report to you. I hope you can put away your unfunny joke. Okay. The blue-haired, middle-aged man shrugged, put the glass on the table, and sat upright. Speak. This subordinate just went to the Bounty Alliance. Why did you go to that kind of place? An organization that can't see the light, a place where a bunch of galactic pirates gather. The smell there is disgusting. You must go take a bath later. I like the fragrant you. The blue-haired, middle-aged man smiled. The blonde lady didn't seem to hear the middle-aged man's teasing. Still expressionless. This subordinate saw information about a galaxy suspected to be the Milky Way being sold in the Bounty Alliance. Is that so? The middle-aged man nodded lightly. May I ask if we should buy it? Buy it. Understood. As soon as the voice fell, the virtual projection disappeared in front of the blue-haired middle-aged man. The middle-aged man shrugged bitterly. He also wanted to take this opportunity to ask Lucy out for dinner. Hey, Coal Moon. Say it, I'm listening. An ethereal voice resounded in the warship. Full speed ahead. I want to return to the galaxy as soon as possible. Okay. When the blue-haired middle-aged man gave the order, the blonde lady, Lucy, had already arrived at the third underground floor of the Bounty Alliance. In the past, the Bounty Alliance only had 2 floors. The first floor was used to handle business, and the second floor was the underground bar. The third floor was usually not opened, and the only time it was opened was during auctions. Hey, beauty! The moment Lucy appeared, many people whistled at her. Lucy did not respond at all. She walked straight to an empty seat and sat down. Next up, we will be auctioning the Tianyin star. Please take a look. As soon as the host finished speaking, a vital planet appeared on the screen. This life star has just been born. In theory, it can house 17 billion people. There are already 6 billion humans. Native planet. The strongest expert inside is at the 3rd level of the star system. Planet characteristics. Female humans are white. The starting price is 600,000 universe dollars. Just as he finished speaking, the important people on the auction stage all started bidding. 800,000. 1 million. 2 million. It seemed that the starting price was very low, but in the end, it would reach hundreds of millions. Soon, the newly born planet was purchased. After the auction of this life star, the host on the stage suddenly became excited. Good. Finally, it's time for the main event of the night. I believe that there are many almighties here. They are all here for the finale. During this time, the blonde woman, Lucy, had been observing the people on the auction stage. She was looking for competitors who could compete with her. All right, stop talking. Hurry up and show it. Yeah, hurry up and show the finale. We have been waiting for so long. Hurry up, hurry up. Among these people who were urging the host, most of them did not have the capital to buy. They were just here to cause a ruckus. Those who really had the capital to buy were all waiting quietly. So many. After looking around, the blonde woman narrowed her eyes. While she was investigating, she felt that there were at least 7 people with extraordinary auras. From their expressions, she could tell that they were here for the finale. While she was investigating, the others were doing the same. Perhaps because they felt each other's auras, they even nodded to each other. 3 men and 3 women. Including Lucy, there were 7 people. 2 country leaders, 4 knights. Lucy squinted her eyes. It seemed like the competition this time was going to be especially intense. The people below the stage were still shouting. The host laughed heartily. He didn't purposely keep the others in suspense. All right, then let's bring out the final auction information. A galaxy. In an instant, the entire third level became a galaxy ocean. Countless stars seemed to pass through everyone's eyes. This is an entire galaxy. Ownerless. The size of the galaxy is equivalent to a small universe country. Hua. The people below the stage were in an uproar. Universe country. 300,000 primal chaos. Before the host could continue, there were already people bidding. Don't want too many people to notice that this is the Milky Way galaxy? Lucy squinted her eyes. She already understood what this bidder was thinking. 300,000 primal chaos at the start. Compared to the previous planet, it was 100 million times higher. 800,000 primal chaos. Before the crowd could digest it, someone else raised the price. You guys are too stingy. Our time is tight. Let's speed up a little. A lady on the stage spoke. 20 million primal chaos. The entire crowd went silent. 20 million. Primal chaos. What kind of background did these people have? That's right. Everyone is busy. Let's speed up the auction a little. Another man spoke. 30 million primal chaos. 50 million. 80 million. 100 million. The price continued to rise. Behind the stage, Sika and his crew members were so excited they clenched their fists. 100 million. It actually reached over 100 million. This had already far exceeded their expectations. You youngsters, why are you in such a rush? As the other five were bidding, an old man stood out. He had finally appeared. Lucy hadn't spoken yet. She had been waiting for this old man. This old man looked old and clumsy. However, he was actually a night-level expert. 300 million. When the old man's words landed, the entire third level went silent. 300 million. Even a monarch or a venerable might not have such a huge amount of wealth. Everyone thought that there wouldn't be a price higher than this. Lucy gently raised her hand, her eyes revealing a smile. 1 billion. Chapter 2439. 1 billion. When Lucy shouted this number, it instantly caused an uproar. 1 billion. Even a host on the stage stuttered. This blonde lady bids 1 billion. Is there any higher? Lucy looked at the previous bidders with a smile on her face. From the way they bid, based on the number they shouted, she could roughly estimate the limit that these people could bid. 1 billion. It was to give them a sense of pressure. It made them feel that they came prepared. You directly shouted so much. Are you even letting us participate in the auction? The girl with some baby fat pouted. Didn't you say to end it as soon as possible? Lucy smiled. TSK. From their expressions, it could be seen that these people would probably not continue bidding. Old man, what do you think? Lucy looked at the old man who was at the honor realm. The old man smiled and shook his head. Let's not compete anymore. Lucy maintained a smile on her face as she looked at the host on the stage. If no one else bids, does it belong to me? Bro, pinch me. Why? I don't even know you. Pinch me. Someone in the auction seat said to the person next to him. That person frowned and pinched him. F*CK. It's actually true. The eyes of the person who was pinched flickered with fear. Is there something wrong with his brain? Bro, 1 billion primordial chaos. The person who was pinched shouted, 1 billion. What exactly is being auctioned for it to reach 1 billion primordial chaos? Won't the person who found this place be rich? It's quite exaggerated. The young man nodded his head. 1 billion primordial chaos. This number sounded quite scary. Hey, do you think it's exaggerated? The person who was pinched widened his eyes. In fact, he wasn't the only one. Almost everyone else had the same expression. Yeah. The young man shrugged his shoulders and slowly raised his hand. 2 billion. In an instant, the person who was pinched was dumbfounded. He stared at the young man in front of him and his raised hand. Bro, the young man smiled at him. He tilted his head and looked at Lucy provocatively. Where did he come from? Lucy frowned. This young man wasn't among the people she noticed just now. Just a little bit more, and the information would have been hers. Who are you? Lucy frowned. Why are you asking me who I am? The young man was puzzled. People who come here are here to buy information. Why do you want to know my identity? Do you want to kill me and steal my information? You ask me who I am. Why don't you tell me who you are? I don't believe that an earl can have 2 billion chaos. You really have no class. The young man shook his head unhappily. Forget it. I can't be bothered to argue with a servant like you. Who are you calling a servant? It's you. The young man looked at Lucy silently, as if he could see through Lucy's disguise. Bounty Alliance. In fact, these were all shady deals. The people who came here would naturally disguise themselves and not show their true appearances. It was the same for the old man and the chubby girl. You? Lucy's eyes revealed a fierce look, and a faint smell of blood lingered around her. Not only is he tasteless, he's also an idiot. The young man narrowed his eyes and looked at Lucy, who was not far away. What's the point of your disguise if you release your aura like that? Many people here have already recognized you. With that, the young man took out a card and threw it onto the stage. Mr. Host, am I qualified to bid? Black card. When the host saw the card on the stage, he immediately revealed a look of respect. Sir, of course you can. After getting the host's affirmation, the young man also sat quietly on the chair, as if he could not be bothered to look at Lucy again. Buy it for me if you can. 3 billion. After letting out a long breath, Lucy seemed to gradually regain her composure. She clenched her teeth and shouted, 10 billion. The young man's face was filled with satisfaction. Looking at his relaxed expression, it was as if he was talking about 1 million. This was chaos. Some first-rate families might not even have 10 billion primordial chaos crystals. 15 billion. 50 billion. The young man narrowed his eyes and smiled from beginning to end. Everyone held their breath. At this moment, they couldn't even exclaim in surprise. The number 50 billion lingered in their minds. 50 billion primordial chaos. Even if they used 100 million primordial chaos crystals a year, it would still take them 500 years. One primordial chaos was 100 million universe dollars. You win. Lucy pointed at the young man and scolded. Just before she left, the young man grinned. Go back and tell your master. Tell him to stop thinking about that place if he doesn't want to start a war. You are. Scram. The young man coldly interrupted Lucy's words. Lucy, who seemed to have guessed the young man's identity, hurriedly left the Bounty Alliance. Everyone's eyes were filled with fear. They didn't know what the young man and Lucy were talking about, but they knew that someone who could take out 50 billion primordial chaos crystals was definitely an outstanding person among the human race. Mr. Host, can you give me the news now? I'm quite anxious. The young man smiled and walked onto the stage. The host respectfully returned the black card to the young man. As long as you transfer the money to our account, the news belongs to you. Then transfer it. The young man directly handed the card to the host. The host silently held the card, his eyes filled with surprise. Just this card? It's just 50 billion primordial chaos crystals. Do I need to use multiple cards to transfer it? The young man smiled. About 10 minutes later, the young man left the Bounty Alliance after obtaining the coordinates. The moment he stepped out, he entered a universe ship and transformed into a handsome man, entering the virtual network. Where are you? I'm in a palace. What was interesting was that I saw Song Yu's people. You returned in low spirits. Of course, I've already bought the Milky Way's dark spot. The man smiled and sent a message. I'll go to your palace now. Think about how to thank me. I spent 50 billion to buy it. It's just 50 billion. The other party sneered. To you, it's just a drop in the ocean. Right, Blue Emperor? You're right, Wenli. At the same time, Lucy, who had returned from the Bounty Alliance, was filled with rage. At this moment, a blue-haired middle-aged man appeared in front of her. Who made our beauty, Lucy, so angry? Tell me, and I'll wipe out his entire family. Star-Lord, is what you said true? Lucy squinted her eyes and smiled. Then go. The person who made me angry is the head of the Universe Union Bank, Blue Emperor. Chapter 2440. Blue Emperor. The blue-haired middle-aged man was stunned. Even though his expression didn't change much, Lucy could see the scars on his face wriggling. No matter how calm this person was, facing existences like Blue Emperor and Wenli, he would still feel a ripple in his heart. Hi. Then I have to think about it. The Universe Union Bank isn't so easy to deal with. I have to think about it. The middle-aged man touched the long hair in front of his eyebrows. The corners of his lips curled up, turning into his signature smile. How did he offend you? Didn't you go to buy information about the Milky Way? Don't tell me he went too. That's right. Lucy nodded and looked at the space above her head. Why don't we talk inside? I'm fine here. You're one of the highest beings of humanity, Star-Lord Sang-Yue. If your supporters see you here, it will be troublesome. That's true. With a wave of his hand, an interstellar battleship appeared above the planet. The battleship covered the sky. The inhabitants of the planet all looked up. The middle-aged man hugged Lucy's waist and tiptoed into the cabin of the battleship. The moment they entered the battleship disappeared from the sky as though it was never there. Here, after entering the battleship, the middle-aged Star-Lord Sang-Yue raised a glass of wine to Lucy. Lucy took the glass and looked at the decorations of the battleship. You really enjoy yourself. Ha! With all of you here, it's not a big deal for me to enjoy myself. Star-Lord Sang-Yue smiled and lightly touched Lucy's glass. You said Blue Emperor went too. Are you sure? I'm not sure. Even though she wasn't sure, Lucy's answer was resolute. It's all my guesses. Then I believe your guesses. Star-Lord Sang-Yue raised her eyebrows and smiled. That Blue Emperor fella is getting worse. Does he have to do such a small thing himself? Since he went in person, don't blame yourself for not being able to buy the information. In this universe, he's the richest person. I'm not blaming myself. Lucy shrugged and looked at Star-Lord Sang-Yue strangely. Isn't it a given that you can't snatch it from him? His confident tone made Star-Lord Deep Moon's face stiffen subconsciously. The hand holding the cup sank a little. Lucy, we are the subjects, right? Yes. Then can you please treat me, your master, with a little more respect? You're making me very embarrassed. Star Master Deep Moon tilted her head and smiled bitterly. You should learn from Puppet. He has absolute respect for me. Yes, and a very deep love. Lucy curled her lips. Don't mention that. The puppet was the man who had communicated with the Titans. He was one of Star-Lord Sang-Yue's most capable subordinates. The strength of an honorable was comparable to an overlord. He was also the brains of the Sang-Yue galaxy. He was meticulous and quick-witted. His only shortcoming was that he liked men. And he especially liked Star-Lord Sang-Yue. Once, he had secretly drugged Star-Lord Sang-Yue in the middle of the night. If Star-Lord Sang-Yue had not been strong enough to wake up in time, she would have exploded. For this matter, Star Master Sang-Yue punished the puppet by copying the Sang-Yue system's constitution 300,000 times. Handwriting, sealing the power of the universe. Because of this matter, Star-Lord Sang-Yue was mocked by her subordinates for a long time. Puppet still had not given up on Star-Lord Sang-Yue. Hee. All right, you're the master. I won't talk nonsense. Lucy tilted her head and shrugged. She drank the wine in her cup in one gulp. Fire grapes, picked from the spiritual mountain. You've tasted it? Star-Lord Sang-Yue smiled. I know you like fire grapes, so I specially went to the outer heavenly mountain galaxy and beat up the guardian of their sacred mountain to snatch them. It must have been hard on you. The corner of Lucy's mouth twitched. It was not that she did not want this master, the honorable, but this master did not seem to be in charge at all. He idled around every day. They strolled one round here, then another round there. Is there anything else? I'll take them all away after sealing them. All right. I've sealed them for you. Star-Lord Sang-Yue smiled. Lucy sighed speechlessly. She found a seat and sat down, just in time to see a pair of smelly shoes. Puppet is here too. Yes. How's his side doing? Any news from the Titan race? He just came back not long ago. Star-Lord Sang-Yue shrugged. He said he planted a seed of suspicion. Don't worry about Puppet. Playing mind games is his specialty. According to his estimates, the Titan race will rebel in less than 5 years. So long. Lucy frowned. Actually, it's quite fast. Star-Lord Sang-Yue smiled. The timing is just right. Lucy frowned and nodded lightly. 5 years. It was the time of the genius competition. That was also the busiest time in the universe. If they pushed for it then, they could avoid some trouble. How Shorty sighed. No news. What about Crow? There's still no news. Our progress is too slow. Lucy frowned. The 4 god races have not been dealt with. The 5th god race, Chelan, has not been found. The 4 guardian races have also dealt with the Titan race. Star-Lord, we don't have much time left. That's right. Star-Lord Sang Yue frowned in frustration. Immediately after, he tilted his head to look at Lucy, who was in charge of the Galaxy Intelligence Report, and slapped her on the head. What? Those who don't know would think you're the Star-Lord, and I'm your subordinate. Stand. Ow! Lucy curled her lips. I didn't say I didn't want you to stand. You insisted on standing, and now you're blaming me. Seeing that Star-Lord Sang Yue did not speak, Lucy smiled. Star-Lord. Star-Lord. Sang Yue. Lucy's sudden roar scared Star-Lord Sang Yue. You scared me to death. Cold Moon, I really don't understand. How could someone like you become a supreme being? How could you even cause trouble for the Milky Way Master, causing him to be unable to recover? Lucy could not help but shake her head. I originally wanted to rely on the Milky Way Master. I didn't expect to end up with you. This is fate. Star-Lord Sang Yue shrugged. Then what do you think we should do now? I didn't get any information about the Milky Way galaxy. It's very likely that the Milky Way Master is hiding in the newly born Milky Way galaxy. He won't. Only now did Star-Lord Sang Yue reveal a deep gaze. I know him. He won't hide. His pride won't allow him to do so. According to what you said, what is the Milky Way galaxy for? To leave its seeds. Chapter 2441. Seed? What seed? Lucy's eyes were filled with confusion. Before the old Milky Way was destroyed, it was the largest galaxy of the human race. The existence of the Milky Way was also a symbol of the human race. How vast the Milky Way used to be was how thoroughly it was destroyed. The entire star field. It was completely destroyed and fragmented. Almost all of its people died in battle. After that, the Milky Way was labeled as a traitor. Almost all of its people who survived were imprisoned by the human race. Only a few survived. The only ones who were truly alive were those who had been on the run, those who had been on the wanted list, but had not been caught. Now that the Milky Way's wanted order was lifted, they could live more freely. Are you talking about the survivors? Lucy hesitated for a while before speaking. If that's the case, then we can't just leave the Milky Way alone. To be able to survive such a harsh situation, they're the best of the human race. For our future plans, we can invest a certain amount of resources to wipe them all out. You're thinking too simply. Cold Moonstar Master shook her head gently, her eyes revealing a deep smile. Our wanted order was revoked less than 3 months after it was issued. Don't you think about the reason behind it? At that time, the Milky Way's wanted order was issued by Cold Moonstar Master in conjunction with the Universe Dueling Arena and the Universe Mercenary Alliance. It was to give the Milky Way the final fatal blow. Unfortunately, after the news was issued, they didn't capture any of the Milky Way's old subordinates in the 3 months. From this, it could be seen that among the human race, many people still couldn't believe that the Milky Way Master was a traitor to the human race. The power of the human race in the universe couldn't be mobilized. Then his plan was destined to fail. It didn't matter if it failed. As long as the wanted order was still there, it was still a great deterrent to the old subordinates of the Milky Way who were hiding in the dark and had the identity of a Milky Way resident. They couldn't move freely in the human universe. But he had been wanted for less than 3 months. The Society of Supremes canceled the wanted order. This showed a very important problem. The Society of Supremes' judgment of the Milky Way was uncertain. In the octagonal table meeting, Cold Moonstar Master didn't have absolute control. That was to say, in a human race, if the octagonal table conference was compared to supporters of the same weight, then the Milky Way and its Sang Yue star were the competitors. The Milky Way got a greater proportion. Within the universe, there were still more humans who were close to the Milky Way. If the Sang Yue galaxy threw caution to the wind, if he sent people to kill the Milky Way galaxy's old subordinates and residents, then the Sang Yue galaxy would definitely be attacked by the human race. This was not the result that Sang Yue wanted to see. There was another very important point. Most of the survivors from the old Milky Way galaxy were elites. There were countless overlords, supremacies, monarchs, and kings. Any commander knew that if they wanted to conquer a life star, they needed 3 times the number of soldiers. If they wanted to conquer a galaxy, they would need 30 times the number of soldiers. If what Lucy said was true, that the remnants were hiding in the newly born Milky Way galaxy, they would need to send a massive army to kill all of them. This was without the assistance of others. Given Blue Emperor and One Li's relationship with the Milky Way Master, they did not send reinforcements in time when the Milky Way galaxy was attacked. This time, they would not allow the tragedy to repeat itself. The two giants mobilized their troops. If the Sanyue galaxy wanted to resist, then the Mercenary Alliance and the dueling arena would definitely participate. And so on. The entire human race would become a battlefield, and a great war would break out at any moment. Before he was fully prepared, he couldn't take such a risk. There was another very important point. In that case, he must be the one who obtained the dark spot in the Milky Way. After the destruction of the Milky Way galaxy, Star-Lord Pale Moon had been dispatching people to see if a new Milky Way galaxy had been born. She knew that the Milky Way Master had such means. He had sent out so many troops, but he had not received any news. There was only one possibility. The newly born Milky Way galaxy was not in the middle of the universe. The galaxy was covered, and one could only jump into it through a dark spot. If there really were remnants of the Milky Way galaxy in the newly born Milky Way galaxy, the Milky Way would belong to a star system with a master. Because they had lived in the universe before, they knew that a star system without a master would be targeted by galactic pirates. Someone was conducting a star system scan. The main star system would issue a warning. The galactic pirates would not forcefully conduct the scan. Even if they did, they would definitely be suppressed by those experts. The galactic pirates obtained a detailed map of the Milky Way galaxy. This meant that the Milky Way galaxy had no master and there were no experts guarding it. This could also prove that the current Milky Way galaxy was a native star system. It had not truly entered the universe. Therefore, Star-Lord Pale Moon could confirm that the remnants were not in the Milky Way galaxy. This was also the reason why he thought that Lucy's thinking was too simple. It's impossible for the doubts in your heart to exist. I can tell you with certainty that the Milky Way that has just appeared in our sight will not have any old members of the Milky Way, so we don't need to send troops there. Star-Lord Sanyue said seriously. Then what do you mean by seeds? It is the foreshadowing left by the Milky Way Master. Star-Lord Pale Moon narrowed her eyes. Most likely, even if the Milky Way galaxy is destroyed, the new Milky Way galaxy can still regain its glory. In that new Milky Way galaxy, there should be someone he left behind who can replace him. Replace the Milky Way Master. Lucy exclaimed. The existence of the Milky Way Master was a height that countless experts of the human race could not surpass. Replace his position. You mean there will be someone who can become the Supreme One there? How is that possible? Star-Lord Pale Moon twitched her mouth. Don't think of the Milky Way as omnipotent. If he could really leave behind such a seed, why didn't he just scatter it on his silver star? If there were 2 supreme experts, even if the Milky Way Master left for the outside, the other supreme expert could still protect the race. Then what exactly are you trying to say? Lucy didn't understand. It's most likely a talent, Star-Lord Pale Moon shrugged. Star-Lord Deep Moon shrugged. You should also know that after becoming a duke, the most important thing is talent. No one can say for sure what level a person will reach. The seed I'm talking about is the talent the Milky Way Master left behind. In fact, I already know who that talent is. Who? It's Ling Feng's little brother, Yi Zichen. Star-Lord Pale Moon let out a long sigh and shrugged. This venerable Ling Feng really knows how to find people. She actually found the seed the Milky Way Master left behind. When the two of them meet, it gives me a headache. Chapter 2442. Venerable Spirit Phoenix. Lucy frowned as well. Which one? Which one do you think can make me sigh like this? Star-Lord Sanyue seemed to have aged a lot. The clone of the 9th prison that controls destruction. She's out. Once someone entered the 9th prison, they could not leave. This was an unwritten rule of the human race. It did not matter whether Venerable Spirit Phoenix, who controlled destruction, was the commander, or she was serving a sentence. Before the human race gave the nod, she couldn't leave even half a step. Leave? It meant that she resisted the decision of the human race. Then, the human race would have a handle on her. Did the human race's higher-ups let her go? Never heard of it. Star-Lord Sang-Yue shrugged. She probably decided to leave. Things like deploying Venerable Spirit Phoenix. It was definitely a big deal for the human race. Even if they did not enter the octagonal table, the 8 powerhouses of the human race would have to discuss with each other before making a decision. Star-Lord Sang-Yue had informants among the higher-ups of the human race. He did not receive any news, which meant that the human race did not let Venerable Spirit Phoenix leave. She is not afraid of the human race finding trouble with her. Sigh. That's what I'm worried about. Star-Lord Sang-Yue sighed. Since she dared to leave the 9th prison, it means that she is well prepared. She is not afraid of the human race finding trouble with her. I also know that she will definitely find trouble with me. This is really distressing. Why did she find you? You don't know. Star-Lord Sang-Yue smiled. She was sent to the 9th prison because of me. You? Lucy's eyes widened. Actually, I have no grudge against her. It's just that she was unwilling when I wanted to pursue her sister. I used a little trick to get her in. I guess she knows it was me. Star-Lord Sang-Yue scratched her head, feeling a little crazy. So annoying. It's all because I was young and impetuous. I did not expect to leave such a big enemy for myself. Lucy was also speechless for a long time. In order to pursue her sister, who was in charge of the Fire God race, he sent her to the 9th prison. Was this something a human could do? It seemed that Star-Lord Sang-Yue did not have a good relationship with the Fire God race's Venerable Spirit Phoenix. He did not get her. He had offended a powerful enemy. Then who is this Yi Zichin you're talking about? How is he the little brother of the Spirit Phoenix? Lucy asked. Don't you watch the news? Venerable Spirit Phoenix personally announced that Yi Zichin is her little brother. In truth, she's telling us that if we touch Yi Zichin, we'll become her enemies. You don't know, but the Milky Way Master treats that young man really well. He even gave him the elemental sprite. Lucy was speechless. Fortunately, that little fellow's strength is still very weak. He has just reached the 9th level of the star body realm. He most likely came from that aboriginal Milky Way galaxy. He needs to participate in the struggle for supremacy, which means that he'll at most be at universe level 9 in the future. He's not worth worrying about. Star-Lord Sang-Yue asked, but we still have to be on guard. Lucy reminded him. He had been seen by the Milky Way Master and given the elemental spirits to him. He also had a powerhouse like the Venerable Spirit Phoenix by his side. He did not dare to think about his future, but at least he would not die prematurely. You're right. Star-Lord Sang-Yue smiled and nodded, then rubbed her chin. We can't do anything to him, but we can go mess with the Milky Way galaxy and annoy that little guy. Lucy frowned. She really felt the urge to leave Star-Lord Sang-Yue. You're a majestic supreme expert. Trying to annoy a star-level expert? You're really something. Why are you looking at me like that? Star-Lord Sang-Yue sneered. I can't catch the Milky Way Master, but can't I annoy his successor? That little guy is actually the Milky Way Master, isn't he? Am I bullying him? You really are a genius at logic. Lucy pursed her lips. How are you going to annoy him? I'm going to send someone to the Milky Way galaxy. Star-Lord Sang-Yue laughed, her eyes filled with excitement. We're going to bring disaster to those aboriginals. We'll make that informant worry to death. How? We don't have the coordinates. Of course we don't. Star-Lord Sang-Yue snapped her fingers, and 7 or 8 people landed between her and Lucy. The leader was sicker. He looked around blankly, and when he saw the blue-haired Star-Lord Sang-Yue, he immediately knelt on the ground. Star-Lord Sang-Yue, you know me? Star-Lord Sang-Yue smiled, then pointed at Lucy. Do you know her? Sicker looked up at Lucy, then shook his head. Who are they? Lucy looked at Sicker and the others, puzzled. They're the ones who sold the Milky Way galaxy coordinates. Star-Lord Sang-Yue shrugged. When I came here, I caught them along the way. It's good that you didn't buy them. We saved a lot of money. As soon as she finished speaking, Star-Lord Sang-Yue looked at Sicker. Where's the dark spot in the Milky Way galaxy? Star-Lord, we've given the coordinates to the Bounty Alliance. It's not with me. Sicker explained. I know, but I believe you remember. Star-Lord Sanyue tilted her head. Since you found the address, you should know the coordinates, right? Star-Lord, the Bounty Alliance has rules. True. Star-Lord Sanyue signaled for Sicker to stop. I don't care about your Bounty Alliance's rules. I just want to ask you, can you tell me the location of the Milky Way galaxy's dark spot? Sicker, who was kneeling on the ground, subconsciously swallowed. The Bounty Alliance had rules. Information sold couldn't be sold again. When a message shell was bought, the information belonged to the buyer. If someone was found to have broken the rules, if a customer complained, the Bounty Alliance would hunt down the publisher until he died. 50 billion chaos crystals. It was enough for Sicker and the others to live a carefree life. They had never thought of selling it again. But from Star-Lord Sanyue's eyes, Sicker could feel that if he didn't speak, he might die. I know. After a long silence, Sicker nodded hard. Then can you tell me the coordinates? Yes, but the Milky Way galaxy's dark spot is a bit special. I can only point it out for you, but I can't tell you. Sicker said. No problem. Star-Lord Sun nodded in satisfaction, then looked at Lucy. You make the arrangements. Bring them to any family and tell them to send people to the Milky Way galaxy. Don't let them know that we told them, and don't use our family. Understood. Lucy nodded. Then, she grabbed Sicker and the others and left the warship. Star-Lord Sanyue smiled silently. I can't send anyone. Blue Emperor, Wenli, you guys can't send anyone either. No one can break the rules. Chapter 2443. Sky Palace. He's here. Sitting in the Sky Garden, looking at the world outside, Wenli spoke. Looking behind him, it was the head of the Universe Union Bank, Blue Emperor. The two leaders met. The attendants in the palace all left. Wenli walked straight to the pavilion in front of the garden and sat down. The stone table beneath the pavilion was already filled with tea. What's going on? The checks are so careful. I've said I'm Blue Emperor multiple times, and your men even checked 17 of my checkpoints. Blue Emperor sat in a chair and spoke. Ever since he entered the virtual empire, the universe country where the virtual world company headquarters was stationed, he had been met with many layers of checks. The first thing he said was his identity and purpose. Still, the following checks continued. He could only cooperate, but his mood was getting heavier and heavier. From what he felt, the virtual world company was already preparing for war. Are you preparing to declare war? Declare war. Wenli laughed. That kind of allure and charm, if one wasn't a resolute person, would be hard-pressed to resist. I'm not that anxious. I'm just preparing ahead of time. You're preparing a little too early. Blue Emperor looked at the world outside the palace. Look at this headquarters planet. It's already been modified. This is the virtual world company headquarters. We have the most advanced technology in the universe. If Song Yu sends people here to cause damage, any damage to any technology would be a huge blow to me. Wenli sipped her tea and muttered. He's making a move? Blue Emperor asked. I'm not sure. Wenli shrugged. During this period of time, none of his underlings have entered the virtual network. He's probably afraid I'm monitoring him. However, the more he does that, the more it proves that he's making a move. You're right. I suggest you modify the headquarters planet too. Don't let it get stolen. Wenli said, I can't take it becoming like you. At this time, the planet where the virtual world company headquarters was stationed was already devoid of any greenery. There was high-tech war equipment everywhere. The entire planet was filled with a heavy feeling. I hope your home gets attacked. Wenli pouted. This blessing of yours is really heavy. Blue Emperor joked, retrieving a universe Rubik's Cube. Let me show you. I know you're anxious. Wenli glanced at the cube, but he didn't reach out to take it. The Blue Emperor frowned and looked at him with a strange look in his eyes. You don't want to take a look? There's no need, Wenli said. Buying the spatial coordinates would at most make us feel at ease. But you should know very well that as long as Sanyue knows about the Milky Way, she will be able to find this spatial dark spot no matter what. That's right. Blue Emperor nodded lightly. He's a smart person. He won't send his own people to the Milky Way galaxy. It's very likely that he'll send someone else, such as some unknown, small family clans to cause some trouble for Yi Zichen. That's the kind of person he is. To be honest, I hate that about him. Wenli seemed to be sneering as he spoke. The Blue Emperor nodded. These people didn't seem to have any contact with each other, but they actually knew each other very well. Their preferences, character, way of doing things. In fact, they knew each other like the back of their hands. From the looks of it, I bought this coordinate for nothing. The Blue Emperor shrugged and kept the coordinates. Are you sure we don't care? We can actually register and buy that star system. That way, we can at least ensure the safety of the humans there. Are you the master of the galaxy? Wenli raised her eyebrows. I'm not. That's right, me neither. Wenli spread his hands. We're not the masters of the Milky Way, so why should we care about the Milky Way? Aren't we busy enough right now? I understand what you mean, but can't you express it in a different way? It's really misleading. The Blue Emperor sighed and said, what Wenli meant was the Milky Way belonged to the Milky Way Master. As friends, they shouldn't interfere. The whereabouts of the Master of the Galaxy was unknown. However, the leader of the Milky Way Galaxy had already appeared before the eyes of the public, at least to them. That leader was none other than Yi Zichen. He was the one who should rule the Milky Way. Then the future of the Milky Way Galaxy should naturally be decided by him. I've always been like this. Wenli shrugged and said, if Sanya doesn't move, we won't move. This should be a tacit understanding between the three of us. If Yi Zichen can't even handle some minor family clans, then that proves he doesn't have a right to be the master of the Milky Way Galaxy. When that happens, it'll be perfectly justifiable for us to go. You're really rational, the Blue Emperor said. I just have a clear goal, said Wenli. I've already made all the arrangements. If he wants to ensure the safety of the planets, he'll have to register ownership of them. I'm sure the Milky Way Galaxy's value will be ridiculously high. Given his wealth, he can at most buy a few planets. When that happens, send people to buy other planets. Me? The Blue Emperor frowned. Why am I the one spending money again? Because you have money, Wenli replied matter-of-factly. Hey, don't be so stingy. I bought over 20 universe nations a while ago, and I still have to raise soldiers. I need money for a lot of things. You're so close to the Milky Way Master, so what's wrong with spending a bit of money? Are you sure it's a bit? The Blue Emperor was speechless. Based on his estimates, buying the entire Milky Way Galaxy would cost at least 2 trillion primordial chaos, even if he was the head of the Universal Union Bank. That didn't mean the bank was his. You're the one buying it. Wenli glared. Fine. I'll buy it. The Blue Emperor sighed. Then what else do you want? If he can get into the top 1,000, then I'll give him the Milky Way Galaxy. You're joking, right? The Blue Emperor really couldn't take it anymore. He'd used 2 trillion primordial chaos to buy the Milky Way Galaxy, then given it away? Was there something wrong with his brain? After all, 2 trillion primordial chaos. Even a supreme expert like him would bleed a fortune. I want to mine the Milky Way Galaxy's resources. Then I don't care. Wenli shrugged. Just do it. Get as much as you can. That's more like it. The Blue Emperor nodded. In other words, Yi Zichen was buying the Milky Way Galaxy himself. The Blue Emperor was just helping him pay for it first. But what if he doesn't get into the top 1,000? I didn't even consider it. Wenli blinked. If nothing unexpected happens, he'll get in. If he doesn't, don't count on him. We'll have to rely on our brothers to deal with Songyue. Lingfeng's older sister came out a while ago. When she does, we'll do some research and wipe out that beast Songyue. Chapter 2444. A bunch of people. Wenli said it casually. They were very clear that even though everyone had yet to make a move, the battle lines were already very clear. Virtual World Company, Universe United Bank. Songyu, Universe Mercenary Alliance, Universe Joint Dueling Grounds. Supreme's Association was one faction. The others were neutral. Among the neutral factions, the 4 god races, Fire God race, belonged to the Virtual World Company faction. Universe Energy Administration. They were once a triangle with Mercenary Alliance and Dueling Grounds. If a war really broke out, their faction was more likely. Dan Alliance and Weapons Hall were more likely to lean towards the Supreme's Association. Then they would protect their races. Ninetail race belonged to Wenli. Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon race belonged to Blue Emperor. There was no doubt about these 2 races. Titan race, Jean Tan and Milky Way Master were good friends. Even he was only close to Milky Way Master, the others were no different to him. Titan race was unknown. Flying Serpent race. The leader of this race had a good relationship with the leader of Mercenary Alliance. He might be pulled away. Sky Swallowing race. The leader had a good relationship with Milky Way Master. He had a good impression of when Lee and Blue Emperor. He might be pulled in. Elf race. The elf race was naturally compatible with the elements. They were a weaker version of the elemental elves. The elf king didn't like humans. If a war really broke out, the elf race might split and form their own faction. Then there were a few top-tier families. These families had average combat strength. They would join more or less the same faction. On the whole, Wan Li and Blue Emperor's faction were about the same as San Yu's faction. The most important thing during this period was to rope in a neutral faction to establish an advantage. More importantly, if a war really broke out, the entire universe would be in chaos. At that time, the human race would be filled with the smoke of gunpowder. If such a huge war really broke out, it wouldn't end without tens or hundreds of thousands of years. It wouldn't be as easy as when they made it out to be. A bunch of people. It was hard to say who would win or lose. Blue Emperor actually didn't want it to turn out this way, but the situation forced them to. He let out a long sigh. Blue Emperor didn't think about these troublesome things. Sister Ling Feng escaped from prison, right? Seems so. When we nodded, I didn't receive a meeting notice. Maybe they did, but they didn't invite me. I wasn't invited either. According to you, I was also marginalized by them? Londi rolled his eyes at Wan Li. She probably escaped from prison. She's really daring. There's nothing she doesn't dare to do. Wan Li said. First-tier clans were exterminated just like that. Not to mention living people, not even a living pet could be found in the clan. I like her personality. Unfortunately, when I wanted to get to know her, she had already been locked up. That's true. Blue Emperor nodded as well. In a fit of rage, the Spirit Phoenix Knight slaughtered an entire top-tier family, traversing over 10 universe countries, killing every single one of them, not leaving a single bloodline behind. That incident caused a huge uproar among the human race. Not long after, she went to the 9th prison to become a commander-in-chief and never came out again. For her to suddenly appear this time, there's an 80% chance she's seeking revenge. Wan Li said, I've checked. The person who sent her in is Cold Moon, the one with cerebral palsy. She used to have a good relationship with the Milky Way Master. It won't be a problem for us to win her over. All right, I'll leave it to you. The Blue Emperor said. Sure. Wan Li didn't find an excuse to decline. You don't have to stay here anymore. Be careful of Cold Moon stealing your home. Really? Do you want to modify it? I can provide you with the technology. I don't need it. The Blue Emperor frowned, his face filled with disdain. To be honest, your looks are top-notch in the entire universe. However, your beauty standards are too poor. Look at what you have. Even if my headquarters were to be destroyed, I wouldn't change to look like you. Take care, I won't send you off. Wan Li couldn't be bothered to waste her breath on him. She immediately ordered him to leave. Wait, before I leave, let me ask, has teacher made any moves? Him? Would he dare? Wan Li squinted. Ask him, would he dare to make any moves? If he dares, then I'll make his universe instantly return to its primal state and start a war with him with a wooden stick. Awesome. The Blue Emperor gave a thumbs up. This was the confidence of a big boss of technology. Do you think I'll let our bank run away with all the money in the universe? The Blue Emperor laughed evilly. That's no use. Wan Li shrugged. When we really start fighting, money won't be so important anymore. That's why I said you should spend what you need to. When the time comes, the most useless of the 8 titans will be your United Bank. F***CK. Let's go. Don't send me off. The Blue Emperor cursed. Who cares? It seemed like they parted on bad terms, but in truth, the Blue Emperor and Wan Li were well aware of what to do next. Time passed quickly. At the same time as time passed, the entire universe was surging with dark currents. Even the inhabitants of those planets. They could sense the tense atmosphere before the Great War. At that moment, in the second universe's vicious beast forest, ding. As the crisp sound rang out in his head, Yi Zichen slowly lowered his weapon. He was far more determined than when he'd been in the 9th layer of the Starbody realm. A few long scars had appeared on his face. In truth, once he reached the star system level, these scars would have healed, but Yi Zichen didn't. These scars were proof of his existence over the past 2 years. He sat on the ground, face down. He looked up at the chaotic sky and the corpses of countless vicious beasts in front of him. If these vicious beasts were still alive, you'd see that they were all general-level vicious beasts. Roar! At that moment, a winged lizard emerged from the chaos. General level. The lizard roared, as if enraged on behalf of his dead subjects. Before long, he noticed Yi Zichen sitting on the ground. Roar! From the blood on Yi Zichen's body, he could sense that this was the murderer of his subjects. Old friend, we meet again, but it seems like you don't remember me. Yi Zichen slowly climbed to his feet. He didn't pick up his weapon, but instead stretched lazily. This kind of hurts me a bit, but it also makes me curious. Say, what kind of universe is your second universe? Why does it have a subdimension like this? You've killed so many times, yet you can still be reborn and absorb cosmic energy from your bodies? I'm already at the universe level. I can sense the power of the universe. Why is that? I don't understand why your universe is so special. Is it because I'm not strong enough? The lizard ignored Yi Zichen's words. Roaring, it flapped its wings and charged over. We have divine beasts called dragons. They really are much cooler than a lizard like you. With that, Yi Zichen snapped his fingers. Several icicles fell from the sky. Goodbye. Chapter 2445. It was a general-level winged lizard. The defense of its scales was comparable to a general-level purple tier armor. However, it was as fragile as paper in front of Yi Zichen's icicles. It was instantly killed. The winged lizard's eyes were still filled with disbelief as it fell to the ground, as if it was shocked at how it died in the hands of this universe-level human. A vast amount of cosmic energy was injected into Yi Zichen's body. Yi Zichen squatted on the ground and looked at the winged lizard's unwilling gaze. He couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Do you really not remember me at all? Just who gave birth to you guys? Why do you have all the memories of your race, but not me? Yi Zichen couldn't remember how many attacks he had received. There was no exception. The winged lizard had no impression of him at all. Every time, it would roar angrily, then die unwillingly. It repeated over and over again. Ha ha ha, look. From now on, I won't be happy with anyone who says that I have no attack power. The water elemental fairy appeared. At that moment, the water elemental fairy was no longer green and had grown into a sunny youth. However, his laziness did not change at all. The moment he appeared, he found a suitable spot to lie down. Of course, he didn't lie on the ground, but on a water bed formed from high-level water elements. So what? Even if you have some attack power, can you beat me in Fire Bro in terms of attack power? A young man covered in lightning walked out. When he saw the water elemental fairy fall onto the bed, he shot a bolt of lightning towards it. F***CK, you want to fight? The water elemental fairy trembled from the lightning, then pointed at the young man and cursed. Stop arguing. At that moment, a calm young man with flames on his head appeared in the chaos. There was a mark of fire between his eyebrows. He also wore an armor made of fire. Compared to the others, he looked much more mature, and his voice was filled with authority. Fire Bro is getting stricter and stricter. A purple-robed young man beside the lightning elemental fairy said sneakily, OL5, look, you're the only one who hasn't worked hard recently. Right now, you're the weakest among us. The flaming young man scolded. I know, I will work hard. The electric elemental sprite let out a long breath and muttered, Third sister, look at Brother Fire. He looks like he's going to eat someone. Hasn't he always been like this year? A gentle and tall girl suddenly walked out of the crowd, and a gentle wind lingered under her feet. Sister Foam. The water elemental sprite rushed forward, but was slapped away by the fire elemental sprite. Sister Foam doesn't like fatty. Bullsh asterisk T, am I fat? I'm fat. The water elemental sprite patted its round belly and rolled its eyes. Sister Water, do you think I'm fat? Anyway, you're not thin. As soon as he finished speaking, the other elemental elves laughed along with him. The water elemental elf blew his beard and glared at the few fellows in front of him, gritting his teeth in hatred. Damn, why am I not an assault type? I really want to kill them. Done. At that moment, Yi Zichen walked towards the group of young men and women. The elemental fairies all greeted Yi Zichen when they saw him. Star-Lord. He smiled and nodded at the elemental spirit before him. Yi Zichen couldn't help but sigh. In the blink of an eye, they've already grown so much. With sufficient financial support, Bailey bought the best elemental crystals for them. In the past 2 years, they've eaten at least 1 trillion elemental crystals. Fortunately, you can wait for the rewards. All 5 elemental fairies broke through. Youth, that's their current level. Star-Lord, can we go out now? We've stayed here for more than 2 years, and we're about to go stupid. The water elemental fairy spoke up. Aren't you an elemental fairy? The lightning elemental fairy asked. Don't say anything. Why do I dislike you so much? The water elemental fairy frowned. Everyone says that my attributes clash with Brother Fire. I think I clash with you. Then come and hit me. I'll give you 3 bolts of lightning. The lightning elemental fairy shrugged. Just you wait. The water elemental fairy trembled in anger. F*CK. Even if the lightning elemental fairy gave him 80 bolts of lightning, it definitely couldn't beat him in terms of attack. Just you wait until I master the ice element. If you have the energy, then focus on defense and healing, the fire elemental fairy said solemnly. Our system doesn't lack offense. Little Sister Wind and Little Brother Lightning can support us. You focusing on defense and healing is the best choice. Why are you the only ones who can act mighty? I can't attack. The water elemental fairy was a bit annoyed. Yi Zichen rubbed his head with a smile. Offense and defense are equally important. It doesn't mean that offense is worth paying attention to. If you don't have good defense, how can there be any offense? Your water shield and water wall are actually quite good in terms of defense, and the same goes for water healing. But the water elemental fairy frowned. Well, the fire elemental fairy spoke up. You're the most suitable for defense out of the 5 of us. Otherwise, how are we supposed to defend? Water Bro will only be at ease with you defending, the wind elemental fairy said with a smile. Seeing the wind elemental fairy smile, the water elemental fairy seemed to be on steroids. All right, I'll train, but if my water elemental defense and healing are above yours, then don't blame me for continuing to train the ice element. I hope you could surpass us. The lightning elemental fairy shrugged. Star-Lord, look at him. The water elemental fairy reached out his finger. Oh, Elfort, keep showing off. Just you wait, I'll surpass you. With that, the water elemental fairy crawled back into Yi Zichen's arm. The other elemental fairies all smiled as they watched him leave. I've finally explained it to him. Yeah, he's been studying the ice element every day and using it to attack. Back when we were the Elf King, he focused on defense, while Brother Fire and I focused on offense. Why did he have to cause trouble? The lightning elemental fairy did not stop talking. Emperor Star, it's not that I want to criticize you, but you spoiled him too much. Why did you ask him to study ice? If you don't use ice, do you think he can still show off? It's my fault. Yi Zichen shrugged. Actually, Emperor Star isn't wrong. Ice element is also a type of control element. The 5 of us lack control. The wind elemental fairy spoke up. That's true. Suddenly, the lightning elemental fairy scratched its head. I'll go back and talk to OL2. With a whoosh, the lightning elemental fairy also crawled back into Yi Zichen's arm. The lightning elemental fairy gave a thumbs up. Third sis, you're the best. We'll listen to you, Brother Water and Brother Lightning. Chapter 2446. Among the Elemental Spirits. When faced with a problem and needed to make a decision, the fire elemental spirit would definitely be the one with the most authority. If it was a normal playfulness, the wind elemental spirit's words were definitely the most useful. What I said is the truth. Of course they have to listen to me. The wind elemental spirit spoke up. The wind elemental sprite spoke up. If you say it, they'll still listen. Not necessarily. The lightning elemental spirit shrugged. Sister Wind, believe it or not, if I was water just now, then Brother Shui would definitely give me an icicle. As for Brother Lei, he would definitely be struck by lightning. I don't believe it. The wind elemental spirit twitched her mouth. Then let me put it this way. What Brother Lei said just now is more or less the same as yours. We 5 elemental spirits do not lack in offensive skills. Big Brother Fire and Brother Lei are both offensive elementals in the universe. You and I are suitable to support Brother Lei and Brother Fire to increase their attacks. Then, the only one suitable for defense is Brother Shui. That's right? The lightning elemental spirit asked. That's right. The wind elemental spirit blinked. She did not feel like there was anything wrong with what Yi Zichen said. Wind can increase fire. Electricity can strengthen lightning. Water is indeed the most suitable for defense. What she didn't know was that, even now, she did not know that she was slowly jumping into the pit that the lightning elemental spirit dug. Yi Zichen also watched silently with a smile. He knew what the lightning elemental spirit wanted to do, but he didn't care and just watched silently from the side. Then, tell me, was there anything wrong with what Brother Lei said just now? I don't think so. He was also emphasizing that offense needs defense. The lightning elemental spirit tilted its head. Why do you think Brother Shui didn't listen and even argued with Brother Lei? His tone wasn't good, the wind elemental spirit said. Lil Lei's words just now were very aggressive. Anyone who heard it would not feel good. I explained it out of goodwill, so Brother Shui naturally listened. So that's how it is. The lightning elemental spirit nodded silently. Then why did Brother Lei insist on letting Brother Shui defend? You mentioned that ice can be controlled, so Brother Lei listened. There's nothing wrong with what I said. The wind elemental spirit tilted its head. The wind elemental sprite tilted its head. The ice element can be used as a control-type attack to strengthen the elemental domain. It can also restrain the enemy and restrict the enemy's movements. Also, my tone is very good, so he can naturally listen to me. Hey, Sister Phone, you seem a little silly. Suddenly, the electric elemental sprite seemed to be a little angry. You always say that what you say is right, and we all know that what you say is right, and we all understand it. Even if you don't say it, we all know it. But why can't others say it, and only you say it? What are you talking about? The wind elemental sprite frowned. He's saying that the wind baby is special. Yi Zichen chuckled. Yes. The lightning elemental sprite nodded. Special? The wind elemental sprite was very confused. What's so special about me? My tone is a little special, so you should learn from me in the future. Don't be so blunt with your words. Wind baby, you don't understand little lightning's meaning. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh and squinted his eyes with a smile. You don't understand the essence. He wants to talk about you. The main point is you. Don't you know why they listen to you? I don't know. Sister Wind shook her head. Little lightning, do you know why not? As the wind elemental fairy spoke, Yi Zichen smiled as well. I know. The lightning elemental fairy was very pleased. Yi Zichen smiled ambiguously and muttered to himself. Big Brother Shui and Big Brother Lei are a bit interested in Big Sister Wind. Lil 5, you're seeking death. The wind elemental fairy blushed. He frowned, then reached out to grab the lightning elemental fairy's ear. I think you're itching for a beating again these few days. I didn't say anything. The lightning elemental fairy felt wronged. Emperor Star, Sister Phone pouted. When she saw Yi Zichen's ambiguous smile, she blushed even more intensely. I can't be bothered with you guys. Big Sister Wind, wait for me. The lightning elemental fairy and the wind elemental fairy returned to Yi Zichen's arm. Before they left, the lightning elemental fairy even gave Yi Zichen a thumbs up. Yi Zichen's eyes were filled with a smile, but when he looked towards the fire elemental fairy, he noticed that there was no smile on his face at all. Lil Fire, Emperor Star, the fire elemental fairy answered carefully. You don't like to smile anymore? Yi Zichen couldn't help but sigh when he saw the fire elemental fairy's expressionless face. In the past, fire elemental fairies loved to laugh the most and loved to talk nonsense. In the past, he had grown and matured. He didn't like to smile anymore. Hearing that, the fire elemental fairy paused for a moment, then touched his stiff face. Maybe. He didn't know if it was due to the influence of his memories. As he grew up, more and more fragments of his memories appeared in his mind, and his personality changed from the jovial one to the calm and meticulous one. In his memories, that was his personality. In his memories, his little brothers and sisters were like this as well. He sat on his seat and watched them play around with a doting look in his eyes. Actually, he wanted to play around with his brothers as well. However, he was the older brother, the big brother of the 5 elements. He had to calm down in order to better take care of his little brothers and sisters. I feel like this is pretty good, the fire elemental fairy shrugged. His calm demeanor didn't seem like that of a 17 or 18-year-old youth at all. You're trustworthy too. Yi Zichen patted the fire elemental fairy's shoulder. Hearing that, the fire elemental fairy smiled. Yi Zichen waved his hand. The twin-winged lizard's corpse was completely incinerated. Yi Zichen also picked up all the god-bestowed equipment that had dropped. Let's go out. Yi Zichen let out a long sigh, then opened a golden door in the chaotic space. We're leaving just like that. We're already in the 9th level of the universe. What are we staying here for? Yi Zichen stretched lazily. I feel like I'm about to go dumb from facing these ferocious beasts every day. That's true. Indeed, Yi Zichen was already in the 9th level of the universe. It took him 2 years and 6 months. He was half a year ahead of the 3 years that the Spirit Phoenix Supremacy had said. He'd fought day and night to get there. During these 2.5 years, he hadn't left the 2nd universe at all. Or rather, he hadn't taken a single step out of the ferocious beast's instance dungeon. There was no end to the killing. It allowed him to successfully reach the 9th level of the universe in such a short amount of time. With the amount of universe power he had accumulated, he was completely capable of breaking through to the warlord level. However, according to the Spirit Phoenix Supremacy, the upper limit of the Genius Tournament was the 9th level of the universe. If he exceeded that limit, then he would lose the right to participate. He had already reached that limit. There was no need for him to stay any longer. We're out. We can finally see the light of day again. Chapter 2447. A gentle breeze brushed past. Yi Zichen couldn't help but close his eyes as the warm light shone on his face. Lil Fire, did you see that? We came out. Emperor Star, you seem to have stuttered when you came out. The fire elemental fairy said. Huh? Yi Zichen frowned at the fire elemental fairy. What nonsense are you talking about? You just said left. The fire elemental fairy intentionally mimicked Yi Zichen's way of speaking. You stuttered. Is there something wrong with you? I'm just reminding you that you were a bit too emotional just now. You have to be more careful in the future. Stuttering doesn't suit your identity. I didn't. I did. Yi Zichen pointed at the fire elemental fairy for a long time. Don't talk to me. Originally, Yi Zichen had been quite happy about coming out. He wanted to shout out loud, but the fire elemental sprite completely ruined the mood. Stutter. So what if I stutter? I've spent 2.5 years in darkness. How could I not stutter from excitement? The fire elemental fairy silently followed behind Yi Zichen. Yi Zichen turned around and glared at him. Then, Yi Zichen walked towards the town angrily. About half an hour later. It's already like this. The former Liujia town had already turned into a towering city. There were many well-dressed guards standing outside the city. From afar, Yi Zichen could tell that the equipment was all made by the blacksmiths in Chaos City. They were not god-bestowed armors. Looks like he's quite the character. Yi Zichen nodded. Liujia town was the same. Thinking about it, the other towns, with Dezhou around, should not be too different from this one. Submit or perish. I'm sure they all know what to choose. I nearly forgot. It's about time to undo the message block on the virtual network and the game. In order to focus, Yi Zichen blocked all sources of information. Now that he was in the 9th level of the universe, he could spread the news to the public. At that very moment, before Yi Zichen could unblock the messages, he saw several guards kick an elder to the ground at the city gates. F***CK off. How many times have I told you that you need to pay an entrance fee to enter the city? Do you not understand? The guards' eyes were unfriendly. Although the surrounding guards said that they didn't do anything, they didn't care about this matter either. Grandpa, when the old man was kicked to the ground, a 17 or 18-year-old girl ran out. Grandpa, are you all right? The girl looked at the old man with concern. She helped him up and patted the dust off his body. Not long after, the girl turned around and glared angrily at the long-faced guard. Why do you have to hit me? Beat someone up? Which eye of yours saw me hit someone? The long-faced guard frowned. It was you who wanted to force your way into the city. As a guard of the city, how could I let you in? I'm doing this to ensure the safety of the city. Why would I hit you? So what if I hit you? Who forced their way into the city? The young girl said. The long-faced guard glared at them. You have to pay the entrance fee to enter the city. This is a rule that has been in place since last year. You want to enter the city without paying? Aren't you forcing your way in? We pay the entrance fee, cried the girl, glaring. Is it the entrance fee? The entrance fee is 10,000 star coins. What did you give us? The long-faced guard shouted angrily. 10,000? The girl froze. We heard that the entrance fee is clearly 2,000. Why are you charging 10,000? I want to see your mayor. The Emperor's star. The fire elemental fairy frowned. The guard was clearly looking for trouble. This city belonged to the Emperor's star. As the Emperor's star's elemental fairy, he had to take care of things. Yi Zichen raised his hand to indicate that he didn't need to rush. Interesting. You had to pay an entrance fee to enter the city. In truth, Yi Zichen could understand this. Back in Chaos City, they'd set it up like this. The entrance fee was 500 star coins. Here it was 2,000. Perhaps Chicano had set it up in consideration of the fact that this was a high-level city. But judging from the current situation, the guards seemed to be raising the price on purpose for personal gain. To run into this sort of thing as soon as he left seclusion was actually pretty good. He could use this opportunity to reorganize the cities. As for that girl, no matter how he looked at it, she didn't seem like someone who would suffer a loss. In any case, he wasn't in a rush, so there was no harm in watching. The fire elemental fairy saw the look in Yi Zichen's eyes. Yi Zichen roughly understood what he meant. The two of them stood less than 100 meters outside the city and watched the reckless guard put on a show. The entrance fee of 2,000 is paid to the town. We brothers are just standing here. Shouldn't you give us some compensation for our hard work? You still want to see our mayor? The long-faced guard couldn't help but laugh, his eyes brimming with disdain as he looked at the girl. Why don't you take a look at your status first? Our town's mayor is in charge of a dozen or so towns. He's so busy every day, he doesn't have time to care about you. Why should we pay you for your hard work? The town pays you, so it's only natural that you work here. The girl argued. Little girl, don't talk nonsense with me. Either you pay 10,000 or you scram. Don't tell me it's useless. Do you know how much I spent to get this position? If I couldn't earn it back, why would I come work in a shitty place like this? You. The girl bit her lip and clenched her fists. What? Do you want to fight me? The long-faced guard's expression darkened as he gripped the long sword by his waist. The girl really couldn't endure it anymore. She grabbed the guard's neck and kicked him. You dare to hit me? The long-faced guard was enraged. He pulled out his long sword and swung it down towards the girl. Emperor's star. The fire elemental fairy revealed an anxious expression. Yi Zichen continued to tell him not to worry. Do you think something will happen to that girl? No. Then what are you afraid of? Yi Zichen frowned. That long-faced guard is naturally not our match, but there are so many guards here. I'm afraid that girl. The fire elemental fairy squinted his eyes, which were filled with worry and worry. Yi Zichen looked at the fire elemental fairy's face for half a minute. Lil Fire, the question I'm going to ask you right now is very important. Please answer me seriously. The fire elemental fairy felt the seriousness in Yi Zichen's gaze. The fire elemental fairy's heart was filled with confusion. Then he nodded with a frown. Emperor Star, please ask. Then he saw Yi Zichen look at the fire elemental fairy with a strange expression. He let out a sigh and asked with a frown. Can you elemental fairies marry humans?